We're going out of Riverview, Florida.
Bruce.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
I am real well,
It's a pleasure to talk to you. I've got kind of a basic insurance question, and I think maybe you could help me out with. Okay, hold on 1 second here. Just 1 second.
What in the world is all...
How's that, better?
I'm
sorry, I was on a portable phone and sounded terrible.
Got you covered.
Okay. The question I want to pose to you is that my son delivers pizza, and he was in a little bit of a fender bender. Nothing serious, and he's on my policy. Now, the question I have to you is, what liability or what responsibility does the actual company that hires him have if he gets into a little situation like this?
Nobody really seems to know that.
Well, I found out the hard way, I'll be perfectly honest with you.
I mean, he's driving his car.
Well, it's his car.
He's on the hook.
Yeah, it's actually my vehicle on my policy. That was the kind of...
Is it your vehicle or is it his?
Well,
it's I don't care about who paid for it. Whose name is the automobile in?
Mine.
Then it's yours.
Yes.
Okay.
And the question I have is that I contacted them, their carrier, and they pretty much told me that the person that is responsible for the vehicle is responsible for the accident. Well, I can understand that, but the question is, he wasn't really supposed to be delivering pizza that night. He's employed to work on the inside of the pizza place, and he was doing it as a favor.
How old is your son?
17.
He's old enough to make a rational decision.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the decision to go out there and deliver the pizza. Now, it could be argued that he is not a legal adult, but he's certainly a legal, I assume, a legal driver.
Yes.
I think we're probably on the hook. It's a gray area, as I understand.
Yeah, very gray. In fact, my insurance company picked up the insurance claim, paid it was a minor little fender bender. It was like $700.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to put it through as a claim, but the person that it happened to was kind of unreasonable, so I had to put it through as a claim.
Well, how are they unreasonable?
Well, it was kind of a situation where the vehicle wasn't, it was on a hill, and it rolled down a hill. He wasn't even driving. That's kind of the crazy part. And it hit into the person's car.
Well, why? But your son didn't set the breaker properly.
Well, yes, I take full responsibility.
No, I'm not arguing with that. I'm just saying, where was the other party unreasonable?
Well, I wanted to handle it out of, without putting a claim through.
Well, why didn't you? They can't force you to put a claim.
Well, I know that. And they were very unreasonable.
What does that mean, unreasonable?
Well, I tried to, more or less say, okay, this is such a minor little deal. It was only a scratch and a broken lens. But they handled it like, they called a 1-800 number at 10 o'clock at night. They got very upset.
Take a deep breath. What do you mean they called an 800 number? What 800 number?
Well, their insurance company.
Well, fine, so they called them. So what? What's that got to do with you?
Well, I told him to go get an estimate. I said, well, all right, this is fine. I really don't want to put through as a claim.
But let's continue with that thought. Okay, you told him that. Now what?
He got the estimate.
All right, fine.
It was, at that point, I said, well, that's too unreasonable because I work in the automotive.
How much was the estimate for?
Well, he came up with an estimate for about $800.
All right, go ahead.
I knew it was a $200 little ding.
All right, go ahead.
And at that point, I said, well, I don't want to pay for it out of pocket. I guess you have to go through my insurance.
No, that's not what you should have said. You should sue me.
Well, I kind of did say that.
No, you didn't kind of say it. I'm not going to pay you. You have no obligation to pay anybody just because you have an accident. Do you know that? Well, none. Zero obligation. You had no obligation to pay them a penny.
Well, this is the question I have then. I gave, at the time of the accident, we exchanged...
Doesn't matter.
He got a hold of my insurance company.
Doesn't matter.
Well, how would I have prevented that?
You just say to your insurance company, it's for information only. Right. Until he sues you, your insurance company doesn't have to pay them anything. And sues you successfully.
Well, then getting back to the...
And you weren't obliged to give him the insurance company's name either.
Well, I do understand that, yes.
So why did you?
Well, it was, like I said, it was Sunday night at 10 o'clock.
What is that? Well, what the hell name has that got to do with anything? Well, at 1 o'clock, I said 10 o'clock Monday morning, you acted differently?
Well, no, the police were called.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a minor little...
Well, we've gone over that. You have no obligation to do anything.
Well then, why was my insurance company so willing to pay this claim?
Because they'd rather get it out of the way, because they're going to back charge you by raising your rates. I
understand that.
That's why they're willing.
Well,
they have nothing to lose.
Well, I'm lost between the cracks here. I don't understand.
Let me try again.
Okay.
You had no reason to tell them your insurance company's name.
I did that as a...
But that's stupid. You did it as a favor, gratuitously. You had no obligation to do that.
Okay.
Now, if you don't notify your company within whatever the period of time is, 60 days, something like that, then you're on your own.
Exactly.
But in this case, your exposure is minor. There was nobody in the other car. It was parked.
Exactly.
No possibility of a bodily injury, whatever.
None.
Nobody can come back 2 months later and say, oh, my aching back. They weren't in the car. So the only exposure you had in this instance, you see, if there's somebody in the car, I'd be a little chary of doing this.
Yeah.
Nobody in the car.
So I did this as a courtesy, and I'm the one...
Forget the courtesy, damn it. I want you to understand the difference. Suppose your kid ran into somebody. Now you got to be very careful. If you don't notify your company, and a year later they come back with a huge claim for bodily injury, you're on the hook.
Well, I understand that.
Well, that's why you notify your company. But here, your exposure was limited to whatever damage was on the car.
Exactly.
Then you can afford to shoot crap.
Well,
hold it. No, you didn't try. You told them who your insurance company was.
Well, then even at that point, what responsibility do I have? Because I even called my insurance company up.
You cannot tell your insurance company not to pay
that claim?
That's correct.
Well, why can't I?
Because you don't have that... Because you're not allowed to under the terms of your contract. There are a couple of 3 contracts, insurance contracts, where you do have that right. Yeah. One of them is on an errors and omissions contract because it could reflect poorly on your ability to perform your craft.
And it doesn't matter the insurance companies whatsoever, whether it's, I don't want to bring the names up.
Doesn't matter. They have a right to settle. Then it's chargeable. Then they're going to get it back from you 2 or 3 times in the form of extra premiums for the next 3 years. But you screwed yourself.
Yeah, it sounds like I did. I should have held to my guns a little bit.
No, what you should have done was say, look, I'm in the business. I'll get your car fixed for you.
Well, I did that.
No, listen to me. That's the opening gambit, not the end. They say nothing doing. I said, well, listen, that's unfortunate. Go collect from your own company. We don't have the collision. That's too bad then. Sue me.
So it's going
to take you at least a year or 2 to get this through the court, so I'll see to that. Or we can talk reasonably. I'll get your car.
Well, I deliberated that at that point, saying, well, I should have given these people my name and...
You give them your name.
Insurance coverage, but...
Well, how many ways to say it? You didn't have to tell them.
Yeah.
You would have, if the police would ask you, I think, to prove that you were insured.
Well, they did. They came up and they
That you got to do.
They went. They didn't do anything other than that.
All right, that you got to do. But you do not have to tell the other guy. Insurance is you don't ever have to collect from your insurance company. You go out and kill somebody. You don't have to tell your insurance company. You're on the hook.
Well, I'm liable. I'm definitely more than liable.
Yes, but you don't have to collect. You can write a check. If you choose to, that would be dumb, but you can do that. I'm trying to explain to you that you do have options.
Well,
and you
the insurance company doesn't give you these, they don't tell you these options because they don't want you to know these.
That may or may not be the case, but that doesn't change anything. You do have options. And the fact that you don't understand the relationship between your insurance company and the other party and yourself is your deficiency, not anybody else.
Well, I agree with you there, and I have opened those channels a little bit more. So
you got an education.
Well, I sure did.
Can you afford the tuition? That's the question.
If it just keeps happening more than once, no. But I was just curious, what liability do I have and responsibility do I have?
I'm trying to explain this to you. You have responsibility. There's no question, in my opinion. Now, it can be argued that just because it's your car, your son did it, and that I've heard guys argue, even though it's your car in your name, you still have no responsibility. I don't quite understand that operational law. Well, but let's assume for the sake of this discourse that there is responsibility, particularly because it's a minor child. You still didn't have to get your insurance company involved.
Yeah.
Or you could, listen to me, or you notify your insurance company for information only. And then you go out and settle it yourself. When these guys say, I want $10 million, you say, screw you. That's a nice number, sue me.
Exactly.
And usually...
But I have no recourse to go back to the person that employs him to go out on the road?
You can certainly go out and talk to him. You can make the point that this kid was their agent. But again, you'll have to litigate to get him off the hook. And I don't think for $700 you're going to do that. But it's an interesting relationship, one I don't thoroughly understand. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Let me remind you that Danny and I will be here this evening from 10 o'clock in the evening right through 3 a.m., taking your calls off the air for broadcast at a future date. The number 800-743-8000. Mansfield, Ohio. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
How are we doing?
Pretty well. It's a real pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
This is my situation. I currently work for a cellular phone company, the car phone.
Yeah, I've been using one for a long time.
Okay. My job duties include install, remove, repair, taking care of inventory, and answering phones. I do quite a lot.
Like you just about everything.
Yeah.
Except manufacturing.
Sometimes I have to redo some of the parts on the phone. This is the problem here. I've only been there for about 9 months, and I've implemented some ideas that I came up with, and first I always run them by my boss before I start using them. I'm very new to this. I just got out of college. I have a 2-year degree. I've never worked retail, and I would think that would be a red flag for an employer to kind of walk me through a lot of things. That's just not turn me loose. But I only had about a week's training. I'm kind of nervous, so bear with me.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I'm already looking into the other side of the cellular service. There's only two types, Side A and Side B. And I'm with Side B. I don't want to say any names.
I'm not quite sure what you just said. What do you mean? There's only two games in town, you mean?
Well, right. You either sell service for the wireline or the non-wireline, they call it. That's a technical term. You always have to have a competitor, one side of the channel or the other side of the channel allocated by the FCC. And I work for the the wireline right now.
What does that mean, the wire?
It's communication.
No, you got to do better than that. What does that mean?
It just means that it's the B side of the service. There's two sides of cellular service. There's 666 channels given out by the FCC. And I work with 1 through 330.
Oh, all right. So then that's it's an arbitrary term then.
Yeah, I guess. But as a technician standpoint, it's very, very important that the customer's on the proper channel, or they get billed high, big, expensive roaming bills. So you have to always make sure that they're correctly programmed.
All right.
Okay. I bring ideas up before management and other people, and if the company uses those ideas that I adopt them, if I get a job elsewhere, can I present that to the employer during the interview and say, well, this is what I have done?
Sure. But the ideas belong to your present employer.
They belong to them even though I came up with them?
Absolutely. You're on their payroll. They're paying you for that.
Okay. This is the bad news. Right now I'm on a 1-day suspension.
Why?
They said that I'm not efficient enough, that I am not getting things done quick enough. Our customer base doubled since 1993. And like I said, I'm new to the company. So I don't even know what the customer base was prior to me getting it. Second of all, they changed the name of the company.
What's that? What does all that got to do with inefficiency?
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why I bring it up.
I'm very busy there.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, sometimes I get short with people, not the customers, but employees, fellow employees that don't tend to help out. And I just either I walk away or I don't say anything. Well, I got wrote up for not being efficient and poor attitude amongst employees when I feel like I'm the only person trying to do anything there. Now, I know that's not a very cavalier attitude on my behalf, but I really don't see anybody else making a true effort trying to get things done, filling out proper paperwork.
What does that got to do with anything? You're getting paid to do the best you can. Now, if somebody else doesn't do the best they can, what has that got to do with you?
I don't know.
It has nothing to do with you.
That's why I'm trying to set up an interview with the other company. I hope they treat their employees slightly better.
Well, if you really want to get yourself and put yourself on a no hire list, go into them and tell them that.
I don't want to do that.
Don't even bring it up.
I just want to. Well, that's another thing. How do I present myself in saying, this is where I work. I want to work for you folks.
Why do you want to work for them?
I've been told, well, I went to a training class specialized in fixing the phone.
Right.
And on a technician level, I met other technicians that work for, here we go again, the B side and A side.
Right.
And I had asked them, what do you do? How does it work for you? And they're like, well, hey, our people up front, they take care of that. Our customers don't come back there. I'm strictly a technician. Why are you filling out the paperwork? And I was really astounded. I mean, I was mad. But
why would you be? I don't understand you. Why would you get angry?
Because these other people weren't.
So what? So look, let me ask you a question. You work how many hours a day?
I'm supposed to only work 40 hours. I mean, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, but I end up putting in 50, 52.
Getting paid for it?
Yes, but that's...
Well, hold it. What? If they're paying you for it, you have no gripe.
No, they're telling me, hey, we don't want you working overtime.
Well, then don't.
Then nothing gets done.
In that case, they'll figure that out in a hurry.
I don't like doing that, though.
Well, that's tough. You know, you mentioned you're just out of school, and really you sound like it. What you like is not important. Now, when you start running your own company, what you like is very important.
Well, Bruce.
But right now, it's not important.
But when I first started working there, it was so unorganized, and all I wanted to do is make it more organized, more efficient, and I couldn't believe here comes and turns around and gets me saying I'm not organized.
Well, that may be, but you see, there's something. How old are you?
I'm 23.
I'm going to lay something on you. I want you to put it tattoo it on your chest. The boss. He is not always right. But he's always the boss.
You know what? I was told that.
Well,
I was told that on a Saturday when we had to work a couple hours.
That's the way it is, kid.
And I was like, I'm not trying to be bossy. I'm just trying to get the job done.
That may be, but the boss his perception is the reality.
Well, Bruce, do I have a right to check out the other employer?
Certainly you do, unless you sign some kind of a non-compete.
I'm not. Okay, only people that sign that with sales.
But you have, the answer is then you have not. And you have every right to check out anybody you wish. There's no chains on your leg. Somewhere around 1860-something, Lincoln freed the slaves. Nothing to worry about. So it was in all newspapers. Check it out. There's nothing to worry about there.
So if I show them the ideas that I use for my current company, all I need to do is wipe off the names and maybe customers' names?
Well, you certainly can't give them customers.
Okay.
But if you had an idea, you certainly say, this is one of my innovations. No problem with that.
I just... You know, I
don't go in knocking don't knock the employer you're working for.
Does it mean I have to lie? Say, oh, the teamwork there is just fabulous? Or
no, you just ignore the teamwork issue. The point is, you see, you walk in, what's your first name?
Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin, you walk in, you start knocking your employer. I'm the boss, right?
Well, I wouldn't want to...
Listen to me. You come into my office looking for a job.
Uh-huh.
And after 5 or 10 minutes, you kind of let me know that these guys are not doing things very well, whatever, right? I'm thinking, boy, this Kevin is a smart ass. And then in 6 months from now, he'll be walking out of my place telling people how stupid I am. I don't need that.
Well, I sure didn't mean to give him that impression.
But that's the impression you're going to give at 23. You want to be positive, no negatives. I've got a lot of ideas.
Uh-huh.
These are some of the ideas. And I've talked to some of the people that work with your company, and boy, they're all very, very comfortable here, and it sounds to me like the kind of company I'd like to get associated with. That's all positive.
Oh. Okay.
But you don't want to say, boy, those jerks that run this place, your competitor, are they stupid? How come they're so stupid? How come they're driving Mercedes? Yeah, somehow.
Well, I thought that the competitors, see, it's a real tough market. And now I'm asking you, because I know
most markets are tough.
Huh?
Most markets are tough.
And they backstab each other, especially the sales force.
Oh, boy.
Sales force are the biggest, and I hate to say this, liars.
Kevin, you're going to kill yourself. You're committing suicide talking like that.
They put each other down. I mean,
that may be, Kevin, but if you told me that, there's an expression, I'm going to let you go, kid. There's an expression that, now I won't even go into the ethnicity of the expression. It's not important, all right? But the expression is, the dog that brings a bone to you will take a bone away. Think about that one, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. A little later on in our next hour, I want to talk a little bit about the doings yesterday and what left up and the things that kind of led up to it and postmortems today. This is Talknet. El Paso, Texas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce Williams.
Hello there.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. Very excited to be speaking with you. I'm 24 years old, and I'm a realtor here in El Paso.
Uh-huh.
We're thinking about moving to Phoenix, my wife and I. She's in a hotel business.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fine hotels in Phoenix.
There are.
A lot of resort hotels, certainly.
That's what we hear. Of course, none in El Paso. No resort hotels, at least.
There are certainly some nice hotels in El Paso. I've stayed in a couple of them.
Nice, but resort, I don't know.
Not resort, but but certainly, I'm trying to think of the big hotel downtown.
Probably the West End.
That may be. They have a big balcony upstairs.
Yeah.
And the huge showrooms and so forth.
That's correct. That's probably the nicest in El Paso.
Yeah, it's a very nice hotel.
Unfortunately, she's not working with them. She's working for somebody else. But
matter of fact, we were there one time doing some television and blew out all the circuits in the whole hotel. All these cameras, the lights and the cameras and so forth.
Yeah.
The time they plugged them all in, they blew out. The computers went down. It was awful.
I bet you had a blast.
Well, we had a blast, but the poor folks who run the hotel were not exactly as happy, and you can appreciate why they were unhappy.
Sure.
Anyway, what's going on? So you want to move out what was it? It's the Phoenician, I think, is the big hotel in Phoenix, right?
I'm not.
The one that used to belong to an Arab sheikh. I mean, it's so decadent. $1,000 a day rooms and so forth, fountains everywhere.
Wow.
That's the name. I think that's the name. I think I stayed there once. But I know I stayed there once. It belonged to one of the oil barons. And as I recall, it went bankrupt. And you go to your room in a golf cart. It's huge.
Sounds exciting.
It is certainly unusual. Go ahead.
Well, what do you think? We're really scared. One of the reasons why we're moving is because her family here in El Paso are moving up there, and 95% of her family lives there already.
What in the world? What is your first name?
John.
Tell me, if right now, John, I grabbed you and your wife, strapped you together with a big old rope.
Okay.
Got a derrick and turned you upside down. What could I shake out of you? What do you have in the world is what I'm trying to get to?
Very little right now, Bruce.
Tell me, what can I shake out of you, John?
Well, 2 cars.
That are probably not paid for.
Well, yeah, they are. 2 cars that are paid for, 89 Taurus and a Golf.
They have wheels on them, right?
They have wheels and they run. They look pretty good.
Well, I suspect that they can make it to Phoenix.
All right,
what else?
Other than that, really nothing to speak of.
Your wife probably has a wedding ring and maybe an engagement ring.
Sure.
Little furniture.
About $15,000 in total personal value.
Furniture?
In terms of furniture, in terms of jewelry, in terms of clothing.
All right. All those things are portable, are they not?
Correct.
Okay. What are you scared of, kid? What do you have to lose?
Well, I don't know. I'm all my family. Number one, it lives here.
Yeah, but they have airplanes that go back and forth every day.
Yeah.
You want to come visit your folks on the weekend? It's not like you were taking off in a Conestoga wagon 200 years ago, knowing full well you're never going to see the people back east. Back east is defined as St. Louis.
Yeah.
You're going out to the Oregon territory. You can hop on, Southwest Airlines, I'm sure, has a plane going back and forth 10 times a day.
Yeah, I think it's something like $70 or $80.
Yeah, and beyond that, you have a telephone for $1.50, you can talk to your parents.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's a big trauma. What else?
I'm scared of starting a whole new life over. I've done pretty well for myself here.
You're 23, I think. You're 24?
24.
How much with all deference to you, what can you have done by 24?
I'm starting to see your point. I'm starting to realize what you're saying. I don't really have anything to lose, so why am I scared to
That's what I'm trying to get to. I doubt seriously if things go sour. Not maybe, but I don't think your wife will divorce you, but you know her better than I do.
Right.
All right. Then, do you have children?
No, sir.
All right. Nothing to worry about there. How about a dog or a cat?
2 big dogs.
Well, the dogs will probably go with you.
Yeah.
They don't get a vote. Mickey the Mutt is laying here snorting away, but he doesn't get a vote whether I go to work or not. This is not a democracy. The dogs they'll go.
Sure.
Your wife is going to go?
She's very excited about it, as I am. We're just scared, as young people.
What has she got to be scared about?
I guess less than I do, because it's her family.
Well, what does family got to do with anything?
Well, it gives you moral support. You got a place to stay if things don't go. We're going to stay with them for about a month till we get our own place. And
your morals need supporting, kid?
Probably not.
I'm kidding you. What I'm trying to get to, son, is that you got nothing to lose. You can always go back. You can be on the phone and get consolation for your mother and daddy if that's what you require at 24. Big deal. Big deal. Get on your horse and go. Life is an adventure. Put it back up again just for a minute, would you please? Life is an adventure. Have you ever lived anywhere else?
No.
Oh, boy, I feel sorry for you. 24 years in one place. Get out!
Is it time?
Oh, it's past time. Past time in my... I don't care if you're born in Shangri-La. It's time to get out and see. It's a big world out here, kid. I mean, you mentioned you're in El Paso. I've been to El Paso. Clearly, I know the hotel there, right?
Right.
I've also been to Phoenix. Boy, isn't that a big deal? I've been to a lot of other places. Hell, by the time I was your age, I've been around the world at least twice.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. I went overseas when I was 19 in the Air Force.
Well, I guess it's time for me to...
It's time to get out there. It really is not so scary.
Okay.
I do wish you well, John.
Thank you so much.
Hang in there, my friend, and we can keep you company because we're right there in Phoenix along with you. Me, I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I want to remind you that Danny and I will be here from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. tonight into tomorrow morning, taking your calls at 800-743-8000. On tape, goes real quick. You're invited to join us. Clearwater, hello there. Clearwater, are you there? I guess we'll... East Lansing, your turn.
Hello?
Hello there.
East Lansing.
Yes.
Good evening.
Hello.
Listen, I got to tell you, as a college student, I really appreciate the free education that you provide every day.
Well, thank you very much, kid. What's on your mind?
Okay, here's the deal. I graduate next month, and I'm planning a trip out west with my old roommate. I want to see a little bit of the country before I settle down and get a career.
I have no problem with that. Where are you going?
We're going to take the southern route because, getting through the Rockies in the winter.
It can be a challenge.
So we're going to work our way south up to Portland. I got a friend that lives in Portland, Oregon.
South, at least you're in Lansing. How far south are you going to go?
Maybe down around Texas, New Mexico.
Down Route 95, something like that, and then scoot across?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
just stop along, take our time, and just see some of the country. I've always wanted to do that.
Terrific.
I think now's the perfect time. My question is, I haven't sent out resumes yet. I'm wondering if it'd be to my advantage to wait till I get back.
I'd wait because sending resumes, as you must know if you listen to me, is a waste of time. Letters requesting employment, that's another story altogether. But unsolicited resumes are just wasting your time and insulting the people you're sending them to.
Even with a cover letter? I mean...
Unless they've asked for a resume. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, it's insulting. You send me a cover letter and resume, the whole thing's going to trash. I don't have... what you said to me, Bruce, your time is worthless. Look, I'm 22 years old, and you got a lot of time to read about me. You got to be kidding me. Mm-hmm. I've got maybe 15 seconds to read your first paragraph. That's all I got for you.
Yeah.
Don't insult me. Secondly, if for any reason you have captured my attention, I'm one of those instant people. If I get whatever I get from you on Tuesday, and you've got my attention, man, you better be ready to see me on Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Well, if you're out bumming around El Paso, which is perfectly okay, you just lost out.
I guess I was just feeling guilty. I'm graduating in a month and I haven't sent out any resumes.
How old? Well, sending I don't know how many ways to tell you. It's a waste of time and money and postage. However, how old are you?
24.
You're never going to get a chance to do this again, in all likelihood.
Yeah,
don't feel guilty. I mean, don't go out and do stupid things. I'm not going to enumerate those. But by all means, take the trip, see the country, enjoy yourself, and then come back because you're no longer a people in training. You're a real person and join the rest of us in the adult world. For the meantime, have a blast, kid. Party a little bit. Hey, it's been a good hour, kids, and I thank you for sharing. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go to Norwalk, Connecticut. Hello there.
Hey, Bruce. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing real well.
Good, good. I got a case of the Blue Water Blues for you tonight. Which is, last year I had a problem with my swimming pool pipes. Okay, I got an in-the-ground pool.
Yeah.
And I had a guy come over and put all new lines in underground.
Yeah.
And it was that sort
of... transite lines?
But the flexible...
The black pipe, yeah.
Not the black ones.
What then?
The white. The
same thing.
Okay. All right, so this year, it was the end of the season, so this year I fired up the pool and everything, and I noticed I had air in the filter. Same thing as last year before they put the new lines in.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to find out the problem myself. I couldn't. So I called the guy back. So we got a little problem. So he comes back, and he couldn't figure it out.
Why? It's a cinch to figure out.
Well, that's what he thought, too.
I would lay you any kind of odds I could figure it out instead of 20 minutes.
You probably could.
Well, it's easy.
You're probably better than this guy is.
No, you don't have to be better, but go ahead. I'll tell you how you figured it out. It's not hard.
Oh, no, we figured it out.
Well, how did you do it?
All right.
How did you figure it out?
Well, he did a pressure test on a line.
You could do that, but you could do it quicker than that.
Okay, so he checked the filter and everything. The problem wasn't the filter, so...
Was or was not?
Was not.
Okay.
So he dug up part of the lines that he buried. Okay.
Yeah.
So now when he dug it up, he cut. I wasn't home when he did this. So when I got home, he says he was just had the piece of pipe out of the ground. He says, "Well, I'm glad it's not my problem," meaning his problem.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, what's going on?" He says, "Well, you got bugs over here ate the pipe. All little pinholes in this pipe."
Which pipe?
The new ones that he put in.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, I was sort of baffled. I mean, he charged me $950 to put these in last October. Now,
what kind of bugs eat the pipe, Ivan?
Well, he thought they were grubs that were eating it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he says, well, for me to put new lines in again, it'll be another $650. I'm saying to myself, something's wrong here. So I did a little investigating, and I stopped at one pool company, and with the piece of pipe in my hand, about a 2-foot section of pipe with these holes in it.
Yeah.
So the guy started laughing right away. And I said, what the hell's so funny? So he says, you got worms. So I said, what's that all about? And he says, we knew about this. We've known about this for the last 3 years. They eat that kind of pipe in the Northeast.
This particular pipe is attacked by a worm.
Right.
Okay.
So, this guy was sort of busy and everything, so I said, no kidding. So, but anyway, he told me, call the manufacturer up, he says, and they'll confirm it. They sent them disclaimers a couple of years ago, all contractors in the area, not to use this particular pipe in the Northeast, on the outside underground.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine in a house for a spa or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to this other distributor for pool supplies, and they told me, yes, in fact, they put disclaimers on a counter last year and this year for the contractors not to use it underground, otherwise they were liable for it, not the distributor, because of these sand worms, they call them.
All right.
So, and then I find out, I asked the question, well, does this particular guy buy from you? And they said yes. So I'm sort of under the assumption that he knew about this problem. And to take it a step further, I said, well, let me take the pipe out of the ground myself, and maybe I'll do it myself. I didn't even have to shovel. I took a section of the pipe out in my hand, and I pulled 75 feet out of the ground by hand.
Mm-hmm.
He had it buried 2 inches under the grass line.
That's perfectly acceptable.
I thought the standard's like 18 inches.
What for? What difference does it make? You're going to blow it out anyway. It's not a question of having to keep water in there in the wintertime.
Yeah, but how about when the ground frosts up and heaves the pipe out of the ground 2 inches?
It's not going to heave it up if it's packed in sand.
Oh, no, it wasn't packed in sand.
Well, the point being that you see...
Well, the only reason why I'm saying 18 inches because, see, I've been an electrical contractor for many years, and I know I can't bury an electrical pipe 2 inches under the ground.
I understand that. I'm not going to tell you it meets code, but let's start with the beginning, okay?
Okay.
So, for next time. Suppose that you get the same problem next time.
Right.
instead of all this horsing around and digging things up, which is entirely unnecessary, what you do is you isolate each line. You go out and buy yourself some pipe.
Right.
That's cheap enough, for crying out loud. 100-foot length, how much can it cost?
I know it's not much at all.
All right. So then let's assume that you have, you got an intake line, maybe you have 2 vacuum lines, we'll say, for the sake of discussion, and 2 skimmer lines. That's a lot.
That's what I have.
That's 4 lines, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you isolate 3 of the lines. You plug them off with an expandable plug.
Right.
And then you take that spare line of yours.
Right.
Right? You with me?
Yeah, go ahead.
And you hook the spare line up above the ground, right from the filter.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So if you've isolated off 3 lines, only 1 line left, right?
Right.
You just keep working down until the bubbles go away.
No, you can't.
You certainly can. Then you know which one is giving you a problem.
No. But I know which one. I pull them out of the ground.
I understand that, but before you had to pull them out of the ground, before you pull anything out of the ground, you can tell which line is giving you trouble.
Right. Well, there's no problem with that anymore.
I know that. Oh, hold on, Tiger. I know that. Not now, but at the beginning, you didn't know which line was giving you trouble.
Right.
And I'm telling you, that's the way to isolate the line that's giving you trouble instead of doing a lot of digging.
Right.
You just have 1 extra line is all you got to do. And just keep isolating off until your problem goes away. Then you know that's the line that's giving you trouble. You see what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Okay. Well, that's the first step.
Right.
The second step, at least, I've owned a bunch of pools in the Northeast. I don't own any more. I have a pool in the South where you don't have these problems, all right?
Right.
But I own a bunch of them. And it was a whole lot cheaper to just, if you had a bad line,
right,
to forget it and put a new one in. Not in the same trench. And I used to run the things right close to the surface.
Right.
And if I had a problem, I could rip them right up.
Right.
And I never had a problem with them. Right. Just in terms of heaving and whatever, it's just not a problem.
Sure. But my question really is, do I have any recourse against
I would think so, because he told you, you paid him as an expert.
Right.
And he put in, so I never heard of worms eating pipe, I must tell you, but then there's a lot of things I haven't heard of.
Okay.
But assuming everything you're telling me is true.
Well, it is.
Or he should have known that this particular pipe was vulnerable to this attack and you shouldn't use it.
Right.
Because I'm sure there are other plastic pipe that you can use perfectly well.
Right.
What is that black stuff, the PVC pipe, black PVC?
I forgot what they call
But that doesn't get eaten by worms, does it?
No.
All right, so you use that.
No, exactly. There's 2 other type of...
I'm sure. I am certain.
Right.
But the point is that you paid him, theoretically, as an expert.
Right.
And he put the material in where he may not have known, but he jolly well should have known, particularly since you're telling me that the supplier where this stuff was very possibly purchased, or at least where he did business,
right,
made their customers aware of the fact that this stuff was only good for indoor use in your part of the country.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would think that you would have an excellent case against him.
Okay.
Based upon the fact that you are relying on his expertise. But the reason I went into the other soliloquy is I went through this whole stuff 25 years ago, where guys were telling me, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to rip this up. Baloney.
Yeah,
all you do is isolate.
Exactly.
And it tells you exactly where your problem is. And then this business to replace the pipe, nonsense. I remember very distinctly on the first, but I built 4 pools at one business I had, right? I remember the first one when you take the intake, the vacuum line was about 8 inches below the surface, right?
Right.
Well, I just dug down straight down and ran the pipe right up to the surface and underneath the coping.
Is that right?
They said, you can't do that. I said, I can't. It's 20 years, 30 years later, 25 years later, that pipe is still there. Working just fine. See, the difference is if you're going to worry about, if you're going to keep watering the thing all year round, then you got a problem. You got to build a frost line.
Yeah.
We both agree with that. But in the Northeast, what you should be doing, at least what we used to do, certainly, we just use the whole vacuum cleaner. And just put the vacuum cleaner on the filter, break the lines of the filter.
Right.
Blow the water out.
Right.
And as the air is going through the line, you just shove an expandable plug into that line.
Right, precisely.
And turn it up, and that line is sealed off. And even if there's a little water in there, it's certainly not enough to, if it freezes, not enough to cause you any problem.
Yeah, you could even put a little antifreeze in there, too.
Well, it's not necessary. It really isn't. But suppose the line is a third full of water, so it freezes, so what? There's not enough to give you any expansion problems.
Right. Yeah, well, the other train of thought I had was if you have it, like, so low, or it's so close to the ground level.
Yeah.
You know, you might hit it with a shovel or something.
Oh, you could, but I mean, the little problem that's there, I think the savings and not having to go for it if you have a problem, my opinion, overshadow that. Just my opinion. Good luck, guy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Columbus, Indiana. Hello there.
Good evening, Bruce. First of all, what a nice way for you to start the top of your hour with your how people feel about getting beat. I unfortunately was a successful candidate last night.
Well, congratulations.
Barely, by 237 votes, but I was running against a guy who was a 2 or 3 time incumbent, so it was a very successful thing.
Sure. What did you run for?
I ran for county council.
Uh-huh.
When I called you back in February, you told me I needed to wear out 2 pair of shoes, and I just wanted to tell you I only wore out 1 pair, but if I'd wore out 2, maybe I would have won by more.
Listen, win by, it's a great business. It's like horseshoes. You can win by a point, and that's it.
That's all you need.
1 vote to the good is a win. 1 vote to the bad is a dead loss.
Well, every time I was doing something, I would think, now, Bruce, this is what Bruce would want me to do. Yeah, this is what I need to do. I planned my work and worked my plan. I had less than $1,000 campaign budget and did a little bit of radio, did a little bit of newspaper, and a little bit on our local cable, and was very positive my whole time, and that was my approach.
How'd the other guy do? In terms of did he work hard or?
He's very well known. I have high name recognition in the community too, but he him personally took over 400 absentee ballots to the polls.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
No, he worked one way and I worked the other, but it was a clean campaign, and now I'm looking forward to becoming a real public servant.
Well, I hope it works out well.
Okay.
But would you not agree though that well, you see, you've only won, you've never lost yet, right?
Well, in the primary I ran against another Republican.
But I mean, the fact is that you haven't lost yet.
No, and I tell you, I would the feeling that I had in my stomach about 9 o'clock last night was like I didn't want to lose.
Oh, nobody does.
You put a little bit of your pride and ego on the line.
Oh, not a little bit. Your whole personality and your life is right out there. The whole world can see it. You're filleted.
But your show is wonderful. I listen to your advice. I tell my kids, you got to listen to Bruce Williams. Or somebody will be talking to me, and I'll say, I listen to Bruce Williams too much. But your advice is usually 99% right on.
Well, you're very
And I
sweet.
love talk radio.
Well, thank you
Keep
very
up
much.
the good work.
Congratulations on your win. Now the fun is only beginning.
Now I'm going to approach it as like a part-time job. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to be good at it. I'm going to be a good listener. I'm going to jump in with both feet right from the very beginning.
Go for it.
Thank you, Bruce.
Portland, Oregon. It's nice to hear from somebody who's won. But I can tell you, kids, losing hurts so much more than winning feels good. But you got to have losers in order to have winners. Hey, Portland, hello there.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Good. I have a question for you. I'm a landscaper.
Yes, sir.
And I did some landscape maintenance, weekly lawn service for this client.
Mm-hmm.
And right before they were going to move, they said that they'd write me a check for the balance of $172 that they owed me, and it'd be no problem. Well, I waited, 30 days, and I didn't receive anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a forwarding address.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a forwarding phone number. And I spoke with the landlord, and I guess their credit history wasn't too good with them,
mm-hmm.
Their payment history.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty frustrated. People in town that I've had a problem with this,
yeah.
I took them to small claims, and I won.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew where they lived.
Well, how do you spell stuck?
Yeah, really.
Well, that's about where you are, I'm afraid.
Okay.
I mean, it's just you got a little careless. I think we could agree on that, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to pay for your education. That's all. But I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep over it, nor would I spend a lot of time pursuing it.
So there's no way to do a skip search?
Well, of course, yes, there certainly is, but not for the kind of dough you're talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get to. Look, if we were talking about $500,000, this would be a whole different ballgame, wouldn't it?
Right, and it's mainly the principle of the thing, right? I mean,
how old are you?
29.
Can you afford principal? Can you afford to spend, say, $2,000 to collect this $175?
No.
In that case, it's not principal; it's money.
Okay.
And it's just, you got to make a decision. Well, I made a bad mistake. Hey, not the first, not the worst. I'll try not to make that mistake again. That's all. And get on with your life.
Well, I have a creditor or a collections company that I was going to use a year ago, and that was for like $1,000.
Yeah. With the collection agency, though, is going to require some information.
I have their social security number.
That doesn't mean a thing.
It doesn't?
No, sir.
Okay, so it's 99% in the wind then, right?
Probably. If you knew where they went, that'd be a different story.
Yeah.
And you can give it to the collection agency, but I wouldn't hold a lot of hope for it. But these are things, you're in business, son.
Right.
And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
That's true.
Now, you try to keep the losses down to a minimum. You also try to learn from your mistakes. And you clearly made a mistake. You gave credit to somebody you just said retroactively you found out, or retrospectively you found out their credit was shaky.
Right.
You should have known that beforehand.
Well, how would you just call them up and make...
When you apply for credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't people ask for references? Don't people usually go to a credit agency and run a TRW or something on you?
Sure.
Well, you got to do the same thing. You're in business, remember?
Well, I guess I give everybody 30-day credit, I guess.
Well, but how many customers do you have?
Well, I have about 60 clients.
All right. How much, in the course of a year, how much business do you do?
Well, I gross about 70.
70,000?
Yeah.
All right. How much did you stuck for last year?
Did I get stuck for?
Yeah.
Oh, probably, $200.
You're talking about, let me see, 700 be 1%, 1/3 of 1%.
Yeah. Well, I thought you'd say something like that.
Well, that's a very acceptable loss ratio.
Okay, so it's time to grow up and realize that loss.
It's part of doing business.
Right.
I wish you well, kid.
All right, thanks a lot.
I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Tonight, Danny and I will be here from 10 p.m. through 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do hope you will be prepared to join us. 800-743-8000. It goes very, very rapidly because there's no commercials, no news, and whatever. You're invited to join us from 10 to 3 a.m. 800-743-8000. Let's go down to New Orleans, Louisiana. Hello there.
Hello, Mr. Williams.
Hello there.
Thank you for taking my call, sir.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, kid.
I got a little problem about how to rectify a bill, and I've been listening to you since 1986, and I have to say that you didn't hop no fences or cut no corners. You've been completely around the block.
Once or twice. Once or twice.
So what happened was, back in the middle of August, I went to a company and made arrangements, did the whole 9 yards, put it on a credit card.
What kind of a company?
Paging service, sir.
All right.
And I noticed they sent me a statement in September, and this was supposed to be for quarterly billing, so I called them up, and they said, well, because it was done after the middle of the month, don't worry about it. It'll show, it'll be corrected, and you'll get a statement next month.
Well, maybe I missed something. Wait a minute. They sent you a statement for 3 months when it should have been less than that? Is that it?
No, sir. I went from a monthly statement to a quarterly billing.
Why was that?
Because it was cheaper.
Oh, I see.
And
okay.
I also changed the different patterns on the paging service, different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So I should not, after I paid them in August, I should not have received a statement until November.
December, actually.
December, correct. And to make a long story short, I've gotten a statement in September, October, and in November, they went and billed me for the complete transaction, which I had put on my credit card in August, and plus another additional 3 months paging. And I'm trying to find a way where I can rectify this, get it straight, because they're telling me that somehow they lost the credit card slip.
Well, it wouldn't be very hard to give them a new imprint, for crying out loud. But if that's the only problem.
Well, I went and talked to my banker, primarily because I went and purchased your tapes a couple of years ago, and was one of the things that you told me to do was get a working relationship with important people such as bankers, accountants.
Absolutely.
And from what he told me, he said that they can put this through basically at any time.
Well, surely if they have your number.
Right. They've got my number. They've got. Of
course they can. They don't have to have your signature. Say signature's on file.
I didn't know they could do that.
You don't have to sign it. Oh, of course. Have you ever ordered?
That's how I ordered the tapes.
Yeah, I was about to. I was about to point that out.
Right. My prime concern is that what he told me was that these are mass, processed. There's very little human contact. This thing could come in a year later and it will still come up, in which case I would have to write the credit card company and put it in the contest. And then hopefully this company, which we got into words today and I'm no longer doing business with them, but they would have control. They would have to be the ones to say that, yeah, this bill has been satisfied.
Well, wait a while. Maybe I'm lost here, but there's a paper trail that can be traced, right? It was all done on credit card. There's nothing. No cash has changed hands here.
Right.
Then
so far, there hasn't been.
Well, no. I mean, so far there's not going to be. I don't think.
Well, I was going to go down and pay him a check and see if I could get either a statement or something.
That's right. Same thing. The check is a paper trail.
Okay.
So either way, you've got a paper trail. Just be certain to keep all of your statements and receipts and whatever. And if it comes up that they say they haven't been paid, well, you're going to clearly have this. Yes, you have. These are the dates. This is what you did. This is what I did. This is what we did.
Now, when I go down and pay him by check tomorrow, do I...
Well, let me ask you this. I'll take a deep breath. Why are you going to pay him by check? Why don't you go down there and just put it on your credit card? Be consistent. All of the charges of them would have been on a credit card.
Oh, well, I could do that.
Well, why don't you?
It's another thing you told me. I hate credit cards. I only use them in an emergency.
Well, I don't hate credit cards. I use them all the time.
Well, you're a mature man. Sometimes we start paying that minimum payment.
Oh, no, that's something I'm not guilty of.
Yeah. I don't, I'm not the most disciplined person in the world. So
then you're disciplined by not using the credit card. I have no problem with that. I got a bill the other day on one of my credit cards, and it was about $800. And I look over there at the minimum payment when I'm sneaking I kind of just crack the envelope. What's going on? $15. Mother in heaven, it would take you 25 years to pay it off at that rate.
Yes, sir.
Boy. No, I still, if you don't have that discipline, then by all means go ahead and write him a check. I just think to be consistent here and to have a very easy, traceable sequence of events, that it would be reasonable to put this on the same credit card that the other charges have been on. That's all, the whole record is in one place.
Okay, and that way I won't have to ask them to document it and give me anything.
Well, you're going to have the documentation.
Right.
Your statements are the documentation.
Okay. And because, they kind of insinuated that I was trying to pull a fast one, and I told, I tried to explain my position. I do not want to, be put in any adverse liability. I want to pay you. It's a just debt. I want to see you get your money, but... then again, you guys lost it. I've got 2 receipts that say I already paid it.
Right.
You guys lost it, so if you'll work with me, I'm going to work with you.
Well, they don't have to work with you, and you don't have to work with them. You say, this is how much I owe you. Here's my credit card. Charge it. That's all. This is not a very fancy proposition. And everything you've done is on paper. So there's no possibility of you not being able to run it backwards if you have to do that. But given all that, I would not pay him by check. I'd keep it. If you everything up, let me ask you, if I understand correctly, heretofore, everything's been on one credit card. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Then I'd keep it that way. I would not confuse things by writing any checks.
Okay, just go down tomorrow, give them the credit card,
and say, here's the end of it. And make certain the amount is correct. But both sides agree that the amount is correct.
All right, sir.
I'm not going to tell you that's the end of it. It should be the end of it. But it may not come down that way.
But if it doesn't, then I've got all the paperwork.
Absolutely.
Put it in the contest.
And hang on to that file.
For 7 years.
Well, I don't know about 7 years, but hang on to it for a while.
Okay.
I do wish you well, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. We go now to Des Moines, Iowa. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. I would like to place an ad in the paper to sell my pickup truck. And I am not sure what procedure to follow as far as title and license plates and so forth, should I happen to have a buyer.
Well, what does the state require in terms of plates? Do your plates go with the vehicle, or do they stay with you? They do.
They go.
They stay on the vehicle.
Yeah.
All right.
No, excuse me. They stay with me.
All right. Then you take them. Well, you take them off. That's easy enough.
Okay.
Every state has a little different requirement with regard to the title. But you follow that. But the only thing I would like you to throw in there, something a little additional step. You type this up in advance.
Okay.
Just whatever the thing is. What kind of truck is it? What you're selling? What you're peddling? What is it?
The brand?
Yeah. What is it?
It's a Ford F-150 half-ton.
All right. What year?
93.
All right. Then you put on the. Is it paid for?
Yes.
Okay. Because you just put on the little piece of paper. What in heaven's name was that?
Sorry, I pushed a memo. Sorry, because I'm reaching for my baby at the same time.
Yeah, it's all right. You just blew my eardrum. It's okay. Listen, would you give me your address so I can throw my lawsuit at you?
Sorry.
Oh boy, hazards in this. But anyway, what you do is you type up a little thing saying, you list the type of the automobile, list the truck and so forth, Ford, then date it, and the VIN number. And you say on that received from so-and-so, whatever the person's name is, blank number of dollars.
Okay.
As is, where is.
Okay.
And date it that date. Give them a copy and you keep the original.
Okay.
That way, if something happens, they go out and have an accident that night and put a pair of fictitious plates on it, and now there's a bad accident and the VIN number is looked up and there's your name on it. As far as the state of Iowa is concerned, you still own that pig.
Okay.
Well, this way you can demonstrate that, and you might even want to put the time on it. 3:30 p.m., whatever the date is.
Okay.
As of that time, you turn this thing over to somebody else.
All right.
And you can prove it. And furthermore, if they come back and say, wow, the Framus valve doesn't work, you can say it was a casual transaction. Here it is, as is, where is. Okay.
And now as far as the method of payment, if someone wants to write me a check, I guess I would be kind of apprehensive about that.
Well, fine. Give them write a check. But then you go down to the bank and cash it at their bank, not your bank. Now, you understand why not your bank?
No.
Well, because you cash it at your bank, it's no good. They're going to back charge you.
Okay.
You go to their bank, on the bank on which the check is drawn.
Okay.
Then if it's cashed, it's cash. That's their problem.
I see.
And wait a minute.
Okay.
And oftentimes people are going to come to you and say, oh, don't worry. I've got a certified check here.
Right.
Well, what you say is fine, but then you only take that during banking hours.
Okay.
And you call the bank on which it is drawn.
Right.
And say, I have a check number so-and-so made out by so-and-so in the amount of so-and-so.
Right.
I would like to verify the fact that this is, in fact, or has been certified.
I see.
Now, why do I say that?
Maybe they would have a phony one?
Oh, there are as many phony ones around as there are fleas on very unwashed dogs.
Okay.
That's correct. And oftentimes they'll go out and they'll pay Broadway prices. They don't care. And then, but by the time you know that the check is bad or it's a forgery, that truck has begun through a chop shop. And has disappeared from this world.
Okay. Now, how about my insurance then? At what point do I cancel that?
The next day.
The next day.
Not that day. Make sure we go past 12 o'clock so there's no question.
Okay.
The next day. You just call the insurance company on such a date and make it that day, not the day before. Let's say you sold it on the 14th. You say on the 15th, I sold this car.
Okay.
And I want the insurance canceled as of the 15th. But always at 24 hours after you sold it.
Okay, so then if I called the bank and got the retail value, is it reasonable to expect that that's what I would ask?
You can ask what you want.
Is that kind of common to ask the retail value?
Well, people expect to handle, negotiate, and you're going to get a little less than what that a used car dealer might get for obvious reasons. You're not giving a guarantee and so on and so forth. And you want to leave some room for negotiation. If you're looking for, pick a number, 17,000, ask 18.
Okay.
So there's room for
the dicker.
That's right. Handle, negotiate, dicker. Okay. Any of those they're all good words.
Okay.
And stop buzzing that phone in my head.
All right, sorry.
I do wish you well, sweetheart.
All righty, bye.
It has been a joy. And Danny and I are going to be here burning the midnight oil. Yeah, we'll be here from 10 p.m. right through 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We take the calls, we put them on tape, and let them coalesce a little bit later on downrange. The result of all that is that we get a lot of calls in a very small period of time. So if you get it busy, call us right back. We'd be delighted to hear from you. We would indeed. Been a good hour, kids. I'm very pleased you've been part of it. Me, I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Called the lady. Well, I said, look, I'm trying to explain, read between the lines. You shouldn't encourage people to cheat the government. I'm not sure I encouraged anybody. But what I did was, I said, as a practical matter, I'm not going to make the moral judgments here. This is the way to approach it. And then, as I said at the end of the thing, then you make your decision as how you will proceed. Seems reasonable to me. Lady got all huffy, hung up the phone. Her first name, well, we won't give her first name. Beginning of the alphabet. But in any case, I'm sorry that she was so upset. But even she makes mistakes. In 2 occasions, her letterhead, by the way, has no area code in this day and age. No area code. As a matter of fact, no zip code either. Holy smokes. I mean, this. I'm surprised that the thing isn't in Evergreen 3 instead of the 3 digits. And then a couple of redundancies in her letter. Anyhow, I enjoy this kind of stuff. Those are the things that brighten up my day. I really do. Usually when I call people, they're very polite. This lady thought otherwise. 800-743-8000 is our number. 800-743-8000 from anywhere on or in or around the continent. And that includes tonight between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. Altoona, Iowa. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you called, baby.
Well, I'm a first-time caller, and I'm nervous.
Not to be. We haven't lost a first-time caller in a matter of hours.
Well, I'm going to try to make this short. Okay, let me start with in May of 93, I filed a Chapter 13 100% repay, which I've been doing.
All right, let's explain what that means. This is a personal bankruptcy, the repayment plan, a reorganizational, analogous to Chapter 11 for a business. Right?
Right.
Okay. What happened that you got yourself in that situation?
Well, loss of my business, or being down on income, a lot of financial problems, bad choices. It was a combination of things.
Okay, but you're paying off.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm divorced and remarried, and in August of 93, I filed for a modification of child support, which took close to a year. By the time we got to court, made my ex-husband very mad.
What is it you're asking for? Are you asking to pay less or him to pay more?
No, I was asking for him to pay more.
All right.
Okay. I won that. Everything was fine. When he found out about my Chapter 13, he was very irate in court, claimed that I owed him $16,000.
On what basis does he make this representation?
Well, the first thing was he did sell me our station wagon in 1988. As a way of making payments, he agreed verbally that I could just consider a car payment as an increase in child support, an informal thing between the two of us.
You could receive. Oh, I see. You wouldn't make the payments, but that would count toward his child support payment. I got you.
Yeah. And a year later, he asked if he could buy the car back from me.
Why? Why was that?
Well, he wanted the car back. I had quit my job to start a business at home. I couldn't afford to keep it at the time anyway, so I agreed. And he paid me $1,700 for it.
In cash?
Yes, by check.
All right.
Now he is claiming that I've never made any payments on it. And with interest, my debt to that is up to $6,000. And with some of the other money he's claiming is money in 1989 that he offered financial assistance.
We'll get to that in a second. Let's go back over this car routine now. You said that you guys agreed on a handshake basis. Look, Henry, instead of increasing your car payments, your child support payments by $400 a month, I just won't make the car payment. We'll call it a wash.
Right.
Is that about the size of it?
Yes.
But you have nothing to demonstrate that.
No.
So you did what?
We did make up our own little contract on the car before I actually took possession of it. Wasn't notarized or anything like that.
Well, without respect, but did that deal with this child support?
No, it didn't.
Well, then we had nothing except your word and his word.
Right. Right.
How long a period of time was that?
That was back in 1988.
Well, for how long? I mean, did that...
For 1 year.
All right, so how much a month?
He had said $300.
All right, that's $3,600.
Uh-huh.
That you claim that you had coming to you.
Right.
For child support.
Yes.
He's saying, no, that debt is still intact.
Right.
All right, now what else?
Okay. Early in 1989, in the summer of that year, he was attempting to reconcile with me. We would see each other occasionally. We live in different states. So he would come here, visit with the children. Mm-hmm. I was not interested in reconciling. Mm-hmm. I was very much behind in finances due to some surgery I'd had. Couldn't work. He offered financial assistance to me. No strings attached, he said. Now he's...
Well, hold it. How is that accomplished?
He wrote me checks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how much?
Maybe between $4,000 and $5,000 over a period of time.
Well, let's take the $5,000 number checks. Go ahead.
Okay. Now he's saying that he loaned me that money. There's nothing written up on it. However, I may have made a mistake when we were in court for the modification. He says his lawyer asked me if he had loaned me that money, and I said yes.
Well, I may have made a mistake.
Hearing, did he give you this money?
May have made a mistake. That's pretty. You have a classic propensity for understatement.
Right. So now he has filed to have my Chapter 13 amended. I'm waiting to hear of a hearing date.
All right.
Needless to say, we cannot speak. I even had my phone number changed to an unpublished number because he was starting to harass me.
Why is there so much acrimony now when apparently there was none before?
Because I took him to court for modification.
That's the whole thing. Huh?
Oh, you don't mess with his money. Yeah.
But you did ask him for additional child support. He turned you down before that?
Right. Yeah, I asked him just between the two of us before even seeing a lawyer. Absolutely not.
How many children?
3.
And how much is he paying in child support now?
It's a lot. It's $2,350.
Oh, what?
A month.
$2,350. That's almost $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Well, that is substantial. What does he earn?
Pardon me?
How much does he earn?
Roughly $200,000.
All right, so he can afford that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where are we going to go with this? It seems to me it's pretty sloppy up until now.
Well, have I sunk myself if this is how I testified in court?
Well,
I don't know what to do with it.
I think you got a real problem, but that's only on $5,000. How about the rest of it?
Well, see, the rest of it, like I said, he wrote me checks for it.
No, that's the $5,000. How about the $3,600?
Okay, he's saying that there's interest on everything, and I don't know where he's coming up with all this amount.
What does your attorney say about all this?
He just said that the burden of proof is on his shoulders.
On your husband's shoulders.
Right.
My dear, I don't know what to tell you.
What,
I would tell you from now on. I think from now on, what it comes down to, seriously, is when you're in a situation where there's the major potential for acrimony, you're just obliged to get things reduced to writing.
Okay.
The handshake with I hate to use the word enemy, but that's what it comes down to.
Right.
Doesn't work out too well. I don't think there's much you can do. It's a matter of credibility now.
Yeah.
When you go to court, it's a matter of who the judge believes.
Right. Well, this is being done through the bankruptcy court.
Nonetheless, somewhere a jurist is going to hear this.
Right.
And it's now we are down to a matter of credibility.
Right.
I wish you well, love.
Well, thank you so much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. Overland Park, Kansas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Well, let's get it on, kid.
Hey, here's my dilemma. My wife had a ring that was appraised back in, 1990 for $1,800.
Mm-hmm.
She lost it about 10 months ago, and we filed an insurance claim, and they have offered to pay $1,600 after the deductible, or give her a discount at the same jeweler that appraised the ring.
Hold on. Let's back up. It was appraised for 18 bills.
Right.
That's retail.
Right.
And they've offered to give her 16 cash?
After $1,600, that's after the $250
You mean
deductible.
No, you mean 16 before the deductible.
Right.
$1,450 is what they're going to pay.
No. $1,600. They offered $1,850.
Then you got that's a hell of a deal.
Okay.
The chances are that appraisal was high.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
They have offered to let her pick out a ring at the same jeweler that appraised it.
Yeah.
For $2,250.
Well, of course, because the $2,200 ring in the jeweler's probably cost the jeweler $1,100 or $1,000.
Understood.
And they can go in and bid the jeweler $1,200 and come out ahead.
Understood. We filed the claim 3 weeks ago. Now, the adjuster has called my wife today and said, you have to take the money because the price of jewelry is going up.
Well, I don't know where you got that idea.
Well, my question is, do you have to settle with them right now?
I don't think so, but I think you were offered a very good deal.
Okay.
If you had an appraisal at 18, and
right.
Now was this a named a floater with that particular piece of jewelry named?
Yes.
At what number?
No, it's just a standard deductible for $2,500 per piece.
What, without regard, was it a named piece of jewelry, or how many pieces do you have?
Well, we've got several. The rest of them are worth more than that, but we only took a rider up to $2,500 per piece per occurrence.
Okay, but it covers all those pieces.
Right.
I would think that that's a very fair settlement. I'm surprised you did as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. That answers my question.
And there are, you can save some money. Well, of course, the numbers aren't real high.
Right.
But you can save some money in terms of wholesale versus retail values.
Right.
Because jewelry can be acquired at wholesale.
Okay. How exactly do you go about doing that?
Well, you insure it for the wholesale value.
Okay.
Not the retail value.
Okay.
With an agreement that the jewelry can be replaced at wholesale.
I see. Okay, thanks.
It's cheaper. I do wish you well, my friend.
You bet.
Lake Charles, Louisiana. Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing real well.
Well, I just was seeking some enlightenment or some advice here. I've been I was in the military for about 12 years. I got out last year, and I got an incentive to get out, which is about $10,000 a year, once a year for the next 20 years. That's before taxes.
$200,000 incentive.
Yes, sir.
Not too bad. You're in for 10 years.
I was in for 12 years. 12
years. Well, it's round numbers. They're paying you $15,000 a year for every year you're in.
Roughly, yes.
A little more than that, as a matter of fact. Boy, what were you doing in the military?
I was an Army aviator.
What rank?
Captain.
Boy, that's a hell of a buyout, seems to me.
Yeah. And well, I did find a job a couple of months after I got out, and it probably pays let's say just short of $30,000 a year.
And what were you earning as a troop?
Oh, probably taking into account living on post and everything is about $50,000 a year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What were you flying?
I flew helicopters.
Kind of tough to get a job, huh?
Yeah.
Driving helicopters.
Yeah. But, well, I did find a job that I like, coordinating mechanics. And what my question is here, while I was in the military, I had probably ran up some pretty good bills in the neighborhood of around $30,000.
Not probably, you ran them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. Between my wife and I, credit cards and whatnot.
Yeah.
And 2 cars. We got one paid for and another one about a year left on it. Anyway, with my reduction in income, I'm not able to meet my monthly bills. I've since I got out had to purchase a mobile home. And,
how about your wife? Is she employed?
No, she's not. We have 2 little kids, and she's staying at home with one of them. One's in school, and the other one is still at home.
Well, maybe she's going to have to go to work. What do you think?
Might.
Whether she likes it or whether she doesn't.
Yeah. It might. I tell her that, and she says, well, you know, I have to put the kids in the daycare and whatnot, and that's going to probably add up to close to what she estimates she'd be making.
It's possible.
Which would kind of wash that figure out.
Not necessarily, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm thinking of doing a couple things since I'm not able to meet my monthly bills, and one of them is to file a Chapter 13.
Well, that's something that you don't do lightly, my friend.
Yeah.
And in your circumstance, I don't see where that's necessarily called for. Tell you what, let's meet around the corner after we make a little money, okay? I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around. This is Talknet. Hey, Danny and I are going to be here tonight from 10 p.m. through 3 a.m. taking your calls off the air. You're invited to join us. Hilton Head, North Carolina. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
This is the third time I've gotten through, which probably makes me both lucky but also a bearer of a lot of problems.
Well, let's hope we can help one way anyway.
Yeah, it's a little one. I've heard you speak on the subject before, but I've never listened as acutely as I should until suddenly it pertains to me. It deals with term and whole life insurance.
All right.
If you could just review for me real briefly your thoughts.
Well, talk to me about you.
Okay, well, I'm married, wife, no children, own a house, or the bank owns it. I'm paying
Yeah, they let you live there if you make a payment.
Yeah, and that's where we're at. I'd like to be able to. I know I've heard you say that as far as husband and wife, you usually shouldn't have, as long as you don't have that many priorities, etc. You shouldn't carry that much insurance.
Well, I think first of all, why are you considering insurance? Let's start with that.
Well, I would like my wife to be able, if something was to happen to me.
What you like your wife? What?
I would like my wife to be able to stay where we're living.
No, that's reasonable, I guess.
Yeah.
What does your wife do for a living?
She's a waitress.
How much do you earn a year?
I earn $50,000.
And what does she earn a year?
About 22.
All right. So she's able to support herself.
Yeah.
If you're out of the picture, right?
Yeah.
But you'd like to have the house paid for. What's the house worth?
$100,000.
That's the debt. I mean, is $100,000.
No, the debt would be 80.
All right. So you can accomplish that very easily with a modest amount. How old are you?
33.
Smoke?
No, sir.
Okay. Good health?
Yes.
Well, both of you guys could have a ton of insurance with very little cost.
Okay.
And I don't see any reason there are reasons why whole life might be desirable for you. But it seems to me from what you're describing, you just want death insurance. If something happens to you,
yeah,
there's some dough there for your wife. And conversely, if something happens to her, there's some money there for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So term insurance, I think, would fit fine. $200,000 on each of you would be appropriate.
Okay.
And that's going to cost you very little money at your age. Now, what you want is convertible, renewable term. That means at some future date, if you want to convert it to whole life for whatever reason, no problem with that.
Okay.
And it may well be when you're 25 years from now. Now you're in your late 50s, and you're saying you've accumulated a little bit in your life, and if you die, there's going to be a big tax liability. Well, that might be one reason why you want the insurance in place. But then you say, gee, at 70, it goes away. Well, this is the time to convert it. Maybe you pay $6,000 a year for 5 or 6 years, and it's paid for.
Okay.
Well, in the meantime, I think term insurance is the way to go.
Term, okay. I really have to commend you on your book and business for yourself.
Thank you.
One day, I'm going to own a restaurant.
Uh-huh.
Everything you say in the book, I'm taking some management classes also, and I'll tell you, you're right on. It's a lot of common sense.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks again, Bruce.
Hang in, guys.
Have a good night.
All righty. Now, Lake Charles, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, we were supposed to get together, and I goofed, didn't I?
Yes.
Well, so you're the military guy,
right?
Ex-military. Right. You're thinking about going Chapter 11. You owe $30,000.
Yes, sir.
What do you have in the way of assets?
Well, I have my one car paid for. I have let's see, what other? I don't have hardly anything in savings at all. I've got a year left on a van that I bought.
Plus, you're buying a mobile home.
Right. Plus, I'm buying a mobile home.
Now, all of these things can be protected with a Chapter 13.
Right.
But you're going to have that black mark on your record for a long, long time. Are you in default right now?
What do you mean default?
Means are you behind on your payments?
I am starting to, yes.
Now, are you? Now, this is like being pregnant.
Well, yes, I am.
Okay. How far behind?
Probably a month behind on 2 or 3 of my bills.
What, like credit cards and that kind of stuff?
Yes.
You're making 30.
Right.
And you got another 10 a year coming in from the military is 40.
Right.
What are you spending 40 grand on?
Well, it's just things that we've accumulated. Heck, it's hard to say now.
Well, that's why a budget ought to be considered.
Yeah.
But what you're working is what now?
Coordinating mechanics.
8 hours a day?
Yes, or more. But I'm paid a salary.
But you work basically 5 days a week?
6 days a week.
6 days? You work every Saturday?
Half a day Saturday, actually 5.5 days a week.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the other choice is, I think it's foolish to go Chapter 11 or Chapter 13.
Okay.
I'd like to see you have no cash at all, huh?
Yes.
None, zero.
Zero.
Yes, I don't have any.
Yes, I don't have
any. All right. Do you have a family you could borrow a few bucks from?
Well, that is another option that I'm thinking of. My father, I'm thinking of either maybe getting him to sign on a loan with me, or.
Well, I mean, how much are you behind? What would it take to get you current?
I'd say.
Minimum payments.
Minimum payments. Monthly payment, I'm probably looking at. I don't even really know off the top of my head.
Well, these are things you ought to know too.
Yeah.
Let's say it's $1,000. Don't
yeah.
That
okay.
Could you borrow a grand from your parents?
Yes.
I'd borrow the grand from somebody, maybe two if you can.
Yeah.
And then I'd be out there looking for a job from 2 o'clock on Saturday till midnight and all day Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because with that extra income, you could make the payments.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have that Chapter 13 on your record, which is going to stay there forever.
Yeah, well, I'd be able to make them for maybe a couple of months, but then I'd be back in the same boat if I didn't find a job.
Well, you could find a job. You could find a job next week. Come on.
Yeah.
You can't find a job. I'm not telling you you're going to find something you're going to like necessarily.
Yeah.
Whether it's putting cans on the shelf, I don't care what it is.
Oh, a second job you're talking?
Absolutely. I'm talking about from 2 o'clock on Saturday to midnight, every Saturday and all day Sunday.
Yeah.
It's going to knock the hell out of your family life.
Well, that is one thing I'm trying to do is get a National Guard job.
That's terrific. But I'm talking about next week, get a job.
Right.
Doing something.
Right.
I mean, frankly, I think your wife ought to be working.
Yeah.
You're working the daytime, right?
Yes, sir.
Let her go out and work at night. Let her get a job from, say, 6 to midnight.
Yeah.
She could do that. I mean, you guys both got yourself into this situation.
Oh, yeah.
Then get yourself out.
Yeah.
If you worked as I described and your wife get a job nights,
mm-hmm.
year from now, you're out from under.
Yeah.
Be a hell of a lot better than going Chapter.
Yeah.
Not as easy.
That's true.
But a lot better.
Yeah.
I do wish you well, guy.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. East Lansing, hello there.
How you doing, Bruce?
I'm all right.
Well, glad to say I don't have any major problems, but I just have a question about moving a business out of state.
Let's talk about it.
All right. I've got a small business. Right now we do manufacturing of garments, and that is about 80% of our business, and about 20% of our business is our own line of clothing. I'd like to turn that around and make that 100% of our business, which would be all mail order.
Why would you want to give up the other?
There's a lot of overhead, and we have a fairly good customer base where we are, but I would like to move the business out of state where we would lose our local customer base.
Where do you want to move it?
Someplace warm. Florida.
Can't hate you for that.
We had snow last week already.
Oh, boy. Go ahead.
Any major problems you foresee in moving a business?
Well, there's lots of problems. Most of the stuff you're doing is by mail or by UPS or a truck or something. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter where you are.
Correct.
Most of your orders come in through the mail or through the telephone or whatever?
Yes.
That doesn't matter. But how many people do you have working for you?
2.
That's it? What do they do?
Just general printing of the garments and artwork.
Only 2 people?
Yeah, and myself.
Well, would they go with you, or would you want them to go with you?
They're all for it.
Is that right?
Yep.
Well, aside from that, how about, where do you say you do the printing on this stuff? Where do you get your material from?
We do a lot of we do contract work, so most people send us the garments.
Well, they supply them.
Yes.
I mean, you're sitting there in East Lansing, right?
Yes.
Where does your business come from?
Most of it is mid-Michigan.
What I'm trying to get to is if you move to Florida, you're going to increase your transportation costs. Is that going to? Are you still going to be in the league?
That's the part of business that I want to get out of.
Wait a minute. What is it you want to do? Maybe I missed something here.
I want to get out of the local manufacturing business.
And you want to do but you want to do what kind of business do you want to do?
It would be just the mail order business.
But my question stands then. Where are the supplies coming from?
We have that manufactured for us in California.
That's my question. Then there shouldn't be. Do you understand why I asked the question? Is there going to be a significant difference in the shipping of the materials from where it is to Michigan versus where it is to Florida? Well, it would appear not. If it's coming from California, it'd probably be a wash.
Yeah.
There won't be enough difference to get emotional over. I'm just looking for extra expenses. I don't see any so far.
Okay.
The chances are that you'll be able to rent space. Where in Florida do you want to
go? Possibly Orlando or Tampa area.
Okay. You could be able to rent space probably as the same price or maybe a little bit less than you're paying in Michigan, and your utilities will be less because you don't have the heating bills, and then the electric utilities are a whole lot less than you're accustomed to.
Okay.
Telephones are going to be more.
Okay.
Yeah, telephone rates are higher in Florida.
Okay.
I mean, if a lot of your business is on a telephone, be aware of that.
Okay. Yeah, most of it's mail order, so that's still not a lot.
No, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay. Do you live in that area?
Yes, I do. I conduct business in that area. I'm not here all the time. I'm in Florida as we speak. I'm hop, skip, and jump from Tampa.
Oh, okay.
I like the coast.
Okay.
That's personal prejudice. The Orlando area is a lovely area. I just prefer to be on one of the coasts. And I like the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast.
Okay, so Florida is highly recommended.
For me? No, stay the hell out. There's enough of you people coming here. Yes, I'm I like Florida. I've found a new home here. I'm very, very comfortable here. I found that it's a way of life which I think has a lot to recommend it. Now, there are, like anything else, no place that I've ever been is Shangri-La. There are not problems, maybe isn't the best choice of terms, but there are differences that one has to accommodate to. Okay. I'm not sure I want to chronicle those here. Okay. But there are differences, and you have to get used to those and make allowances for those. For example, the Tampa area, in my opinion, is one of the best areas to commute from. The airport is very user-friendly, and you can get anywhere in the country the same day. I can be anywhere in the country and doing business the same day. Okay. If I were on the West Coast, they couldn't do that, could I?
No.
Oh, you leave it? No, there's nothing wrong with the West Coast, but you catch the 8 o'clock out of San Francisco or Los Angeles for the East Coast, it gets in at 4:30, the day's shot.
Yeah, I've done it. Or you do the overnight.
Well, that's another program. What I'm trying to get to is that's a problem when you're on the West Coast. It's great when you're going east to west. It's very difficult west to east. I mean, I did it twice last month. I'm supposed to do it again today, but I just finessed the trip. Okay. So I find that a very good reason to do business in Florida, because you can be any place and be back and still have time to do business. Okay. To me, that's important. It might not be to you. The climate is, I did a day in paradise. You get up in the morning, another beautiful blue skies, I went out earlier today and did a little flying in, the light plane out over the Gulf, and my daughter and I went out there and just looked for sharks and stuff. I mean, this is not a bad way to live.
Well, it was 48 here today.
Well, it was 70-something here. Thank you very much. All right. I do wish you well, guy. Daniel, where would you like me to go now? It's break time? All right. We'll take a little time out. We'll get back in a minute. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. We go now to Niles, Ohio. Hello there.
Hello.
Hello, baby.
How are you, Bruce?
Everything is just fine, thank you. What we do for you?
Well, thanks for taking my call. About a little over 2 years ago, I had someone come and do my driveway.
What, when you say do your driveway, you mean
concrete?
Plow it or pave it? Okay.
No, concrete.
All right.
And it started to rain just as he was about ready to leave for the day. Mm-hmm. And he didn't cream it up like he should have. He covered it with the plastic and left. And he came back the next morning and finished it off. And then it just started crumbling everywhere. and it's still crumbling. And I have called him, I don't know how many times. He's answered me a couple times, but he come up there, look at it once, scratched his head. He will not take the responsibility for doing it. And I don't know what else to do, because I've heard his reputation is bad through a credit, you know, where you look up, call those people that you find out if they have good credit or not, or good standing.
But did you make that call before you hired him?
No, I didn't.
That's where the mistake was. Or was this guy?
He was recommended to me.
Well, without regard to that, he's a bad. You're telling me he's a bad actor.
Well, yeah, he is.
How much?
That's what I was told, and they said that he has nothing in his own name because of the way he does business.
Well, there's not much you can do about it then, is
No.
there?
Unless he would come up and voluntarily do it himself. Is that it?
That's about the size of it, although what you can do you have a consumer affairs officer in your community?
Geez, I don't know.
Well, that's something to look into, because if you do, they sometimes can put some pressure on this guy. I assume he has to be licensed.
Yes.
And if the consumer affairs office frequently can put some pressure on him vis-a-vis his license. I'm not going to tell you that's going to happen, but it could.
Consumer affairs.
How much can the driveway be repaired?
Well, yes, it could.
How?
Well, he'd have to dig it all up and redo it.
Well, that's not repaired. That's replaced.
Yes, replaced.
How much did you pay for this?
$4,000.
Oh boy.
It's
well,
a mess.
if in fact he is what is called judgment proof, that does present some serious problems. Because even if you go to and you get a judgment, what good is it if it can't be collected?
Yeah.
Where did you hear that he had these credit problems?
Better Business Bureau.
What'd they say?
They said he has no reputation at all.
Numerous complaints and that kind of
yes.
stuff?
So that's why I even let it go this long. And the fact that you can't get him up here to even speak to him.
Right.
And you call him on the phone, you get his answering service. And I know I can't harass him or do things like that, or I'll be in trouble.
Well, you can't harass him, but you can call 7 times a day. Say, Mr. So-and-so, I really would like you to come up here and take a look at this job. Never raise your voice, never threaten them. But you can certainly make phone calls. You can fill up that answering machine. Mr. So-and-so, I haven't heard from you. It's 3 o'clock. Mr. So-and-so, it's 3:30. I haven't heard from you. And I really would appreciate it if you... Always a very reasonable thing.
And that wouldn't get me in trouble.
I don't see why. All you're asking him to do is come and do what is appropriate. And you can go through the whole litany each time, read it, and take a breath and leave a space in there so he can't fast forward. You'll have to listen to this stuff. Drive him crazy.
Well, I guess it's worth a try.
Well, it's going to take a little time. I mean, wait, if you're not all that, are you real busy all day?
Well, I'm not that busy. Believe me, I'd try it if it worked.
I'm not going to show it's going to work, but every half hour or so. Mr. So-and-so, this is Mrs. Jones. As you may remember, I'm the lady that you can... And go through the whole soliloquy each time, and then take a breath so that he's got to listen to the tape again, or otherwise he'll just fast forward right through you.
Well,
after a while, he's not going to like... Does he have a home phone?
Yes, but it's always on the answering service.
Same machine? Same number?
Yes.
Well, just I'd call a great deal, but always reasonably. Never, you're not starting any fights, never threatening anybody.
See, my daughter, I told her I'm going to go to his house and speak to his wife, and she said, Mom, that wouldn't do any good. You can't do that.
No, well, you can, but you can do it, but... Blacksburg, VA. Hello there.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
Hey, I wanted to tell you, the first time I heard you on the radio, a guy was calling in about a problem with a lease that he had, and he was basically trying to get out of money that he owed by some legal technicality. He told him he owed it, paid it, and I respect you, and I've been listening to you ever since.
Well, I'm very happy you're with us, my friend. What can we do you out of today?
My wife works for a company that does research on a contract basis, and the research project that they're working on now is done. They've handed it in to the person who commissioned the research, and so they don't need her employment anymore. So her job's ending. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about unemployment compensation.
All right, well, let's talk about this just for a moment. I mean, she was a regular employee?
No. When she got out of grad school, they gave her the option to be a regular employee with benefits and this sort of thing, or to be to work for a wholly owned company of theirs, which I don't know if it's an employee leasing type arrangement or what you call it, but basically she gets paid by the hour and has no benefits.
Well, when she is paid by the hour, is withholding taken out of her pay?
Yes, it is.
So it's the regular Social Security and all the rest of it?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know whether there was an informal understanding that they weren't sure that there was going to be work for her after this contract was done.
And how long did she work for them?
18 months.
Okay, well she was a full-time employee for 18 months.
That's right.
Okay, then she would be entitled. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that was my question. Is she entitled? Should she apply for unemployment compensation?
Absolutely, why not?
Okay, well.
She was a full-time employee, contribution, I love that word, contributions, extortion, taxes were paid on her behalf. In some states, the employer pays all of the taxes. In other states, the employee makes some type of a contribution. But without regard to, either way, she has lost her job due to the lack of work. And she was certainly employed for enough quarters, I would think.
Okay. So the fact that there were taxes withheld from her check means that there were taxes paid on her behalf?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that if money was withheld in normal fashion, she was just an ordinary garden variety, run-of-the-mill employee of somebody's. It might not have been of the company that she was plodding in to see every day.
Right, it was a company that she had never even seen.
But that has nothing to do with anything. That company was, in theory, licensed to do business in the state of Virginia and required to. Does Virginia have an income tax?
Yes.
Okay, then they had to withhold income tax money from Virginia.
Right.
Federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare tax. Don't you love all these taxes? And whether or not, Dan, you work in Virginia, they have and Danny, in Virginia, I'm talking to my engineer or my producer. In Virginia, does the employee contribute to unemployment? Dan? On your check, do they take out for unemployment? Well, if they don't take out for it, then you're not making a contribution. In one of the states that we do business in, I know specifically that it's a little over 1% that you take out of up to a certain number. Apparently in Virginia that's not the case, but either way she'd be covered.
What do you do to go about applying?
Well, I don't know. Again, that varies from state to state. In most states, you have to trundle on down to which is almost an oxymoron, the employment office, which is really the unemployment office, and fill an application. There may or may not be a waiting period. You have to determine, it has to be determined why you were left work. Well, it's easy. Wasn't any. And are you actively seeking work? And she may have to prove that.
Okay.
By showing that she went for different places for jobs and read the newspapers, all that sort of thing. That's no big deal.
Okay. I appreciate your help.
All right, Guy. Thank you for the kind words. I hope things work out real well for you and your bride.
Thanks.
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I got a problem for you that I've never heard you talk about before.
Well, that would be refreshing. What?
Well, my daughter-in-law and her husband, actually, my daughter and my son-in-law, they ordered
your daughter-in-law and her husband, how did that figure?
I'm a little nervous.
Go ahead.
They ordered a booklet through the newspaper that talked about how to get a job in being an electrician. And so the check that they sent them bounced, and they didn't know it was going to bounce, and it bounced, and so they...
The check that, you mean their check bounced?
Yeah, the one that they sent the company for the book. And so they decided not to keep the book, so they sent the book back instead of making good on the check. And so the company sent the check to a collection agency. Now the collection agency is hounding them for about $145 when the book only costs $45. The collection agency says they can charge whatever they want to.
That's not true. Well, yeah, I guess it is true. They can charge it. That doesn't mean they can collect it.
So they sent them $75 already. I was wondering, would they back off of that without going after the credit? Because they've only been married less than a year.
I wouldn't worry very much about the being held hostage for, your credit reputation is foolishness to allow that to happen. Now, clearly they shouldn't have written a bad check. We can agree on that. And the company would be entitled, in my opinion, even though they get their book back, to a reasonable fee, say $20, to cover the cost of processing the bad check.
For the company or the collection agency?
Not well. The collection agency is there. First of all, I have to believe there's a little extra in here that you haven't told me.
Well, that's all I know about it.
Well, but the thing is, it didn't go right from the company to collection. I'll bet they received some communication from the book publisher, which they ignored.
That I'm not positive about.
Well, let's do it this way. How long ago did this all begin? When did they send the check in?
About 6 months ago.
Yeah. And they just started the collection process when?
About 4 months ago.
That quick? 2 months, huh? Well, I'd be willing to wager even money that they received some communication from the company which they didn't answer satisfactorily or probably ignored.
Well, the collections agency won't tell them if they received the book or not. They said that's not the point. The point is that you balance the check and we're coming after the money plus what our fees for coming after.
Well, you say come after all you want. Come with both feet. I'm not going to pay you. And certainly 45 plus 30 is more than enough. But what's happened here is your son or your daughter very likely ignored the first communications from them. She could have got it done for a lot less money had she not done that, I think.
I think that's when they sent the book back.
Oh, they didn't even send the book back until they...
I think that's what happened, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't know it bounced until afterwards.
Well, you know that pretty quick. Come on. You know you write a bad check, the bank lets you know within a couple of days when it hits the bank.
Well, they bounced about 16 checks right in a row.
Oh, how nice.
I preached to them, Bruce, but it doesn't do any good.
How old are these folks?
They're just turned 20.
Yeah, well, that figures. 16 checks in a row.
Yeah. I harped on them big time about it.
What did their bank have to say about that?
They had a check guaranteed card up to about $350, and they charged them $15 for every check that bounced.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told them, it cost them close to over $300 just for bouncing checks just to cover them.
Yeah.
And so they decided to just close the bank account, so now they work directly with cash until they get a little bit more discipline.
Well, I guess they call that growing up, don't they?
Yeah.
If I were they, I would write to the collection company and say, the book has been returned. You have $75 of my money, and I am not going to give you a dime more under any circumstances.
That's how we'll work it then.
I would indeed. I think there's a point where it becomes outrageous, but obviously these young folks did act very irresponsibly. And listen, being young is not a crime, I guess. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more, my friends. This is Talknet. Let's go to Portland, Oregon. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
How you doing?
Good. This is Randy in Portland.
Yes, sir.
I'm a 37-year-old college student.
Professional type student?
No. I started 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I've been in construction all my life. I want to be an environmental engineer. And I'm concerned about my age. When I get out of school, I'll be 40 years old, almost 41. To get registered as a civil engineer and then as an environmental engineer is another 4 years after that. And I'm concerned about my age. And I was wondering if you thought that was a viable alternative for me.
Well, what are you going to do with this degree? And I don't mean that facetiously. Are you going to be self-employed? That would be one set of conditions. If you're going to be looking for a job with someone else, that is quite another.
Well, I presumed I would look for a job with someone else.
That's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, at 44 with no experience whatever, that's going to be difficult.
Right.
If you could, some kind of a private practice. I don't even know what an environmental engineer does.
Okay. Well, wastewater management, environmentally friendly dams, bridges. I want to work out in the woods. And I thought about civil engineering, but then again, I'd rather be out in the woods, not behind a desk.
Well, being out in the woods is very well, but I think you're going to have a tough time finding a job working for other people. I mean, with no experience in a professional area, with only 20 years left in your work life.
Right.
I think that now, you see, if you started some kind of I have no notion off the top of my head what kind of a private enterprise. I mean, obviously consulting comes to mind, but everybody in the world who's not making it becomes a consultant. your age can work for you to some extent. Well, people will ask, what experience you have. They assume because you're starting to gray at the temples and whatever, you've been around for a while.
Granted.
But when you go out and apply for a job, they're going to be more specific. I think that's going to be difficult. I would think that one through very thoroughly if I were you.
Well, at my age, what would you suggest? What do I have any viable alternatives at all in your mind?
Well, I don't know enough about your chosen field or, the idea I want to work in the woods. Well, that's all very well. And, again, I don't know the parameters of a, quote, environmental engineer.
Okay.
If you want to work in the woods, go out and seriously now. You get into civil engineering and surveying and that sort of thing, those kinds of businesses you can own and start your own practice.
Right.
And you're out of doors.
Right.
But it would seem to me a lot of what you're describing would probably have some governmental implications.
Well, granted, if I can hit the upswing.
Well, the problem with that is, and one of the Dean Everett says the U.S. Park Service might be a place to go, but I think you're going to be over the hill there too. At 44.
Right.
That's going to be the realities are there are some things you can start late in life, and there are others you can't.
Right.
You can't start to be an Olympic swimmer at 30.
I understand.
Or a marathon runner at 40. Or a 747 pilot at 45. Those are things you can't do. On the other hand, 45, they become presidents at a very young age.
Correct.
You say everything is relative. But I'd give that one a lot of thought if I were you. I think that if you wanted, for example, you said I want to become a lawyer. So be a lawyer at 44. Who's going to ask you when you graduated?
Oh, you're right.
But as soon as you say I'm going to go look for a job, that's a different story.
I see.
I do wish you well, Guy. Seattle, your turn. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Hi, nice talking to you. I want to tell you that I follow you all over the country. I travel a lot, and the first thing I do when I go to my hotel room is try and find you on the dial.
Well, aren't you sweet?
So I listen to you almost every day.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
And I enjoy it. Needless to say, I wouldn't tune in every night if I didn't. But my question is, I live in Seattle, and I have a condominium in D.C., and I had a tenant that had a 1-year lease, and for some reason she was not happy it's a big condominium complex. She wasn't happy there, and she asked to be released from the lease. And we agreed to that, and she signed a document saying that she would stay there or be responsible for the rent until we found a new tenant. And our real estate agent went over one day, and she was sitting in her packed bags. She was moving out that day. We were unable to find another tenant until about 7 weeks later, which is $800 a month. Is
$1,600, sure.
Right. And we sent her 2 letters to her home with requesting a return receipt, which she has not picked up. She works in a hospital, and someone there then signed for her, and she obviously received that, but we have not heard. So I don't know what to do.
Not much you can do.
Really?
If she wants to duck you,
the
cost of you not allowing that to happen can exceed the... no, you can give this matter to a collection agency because you do have a contract, and I would probably do that. They're going to charge you something in the order of 40%.
Right.
But 40% is better than giving up altogether.
Exactly.
And I think that's probably the choices you're faced with. There are also collection attorneys, and I'm confident that your real estate guy down there could probably could refer you to one.
There's someone had mentioned garnishing.
Well, you can't do that until you get a judgment, and get the judgment, you got to go to court.
And that costs money.
You said it, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
I would think that the collection agency or a collection attorney would be the way to go. There doesn't appear to be any question as to the obligation. It's just a question of collecting it.
Right. Exactly. Now, should I write another letter and tell her that we'll do that, or?
I would look. She's ducking you, right?
Right.
Why waste whatever it costs to register the letter and so forth?
Yes. I understand. I thought you were going to say that because I know how much it costs to go to court and get an attorney.
Well, there are some things that are certainly worth going to court for.
Right.
But there are any number of attorneys that work on collection matters. And they'll charge, again, about 40%.
Right.
Give it to them and get it out of your hair.
That's what I'm going to do.
I do wish you well.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sweetheart. It's good to keep you company around the country. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go to the compound in Hyannis, Massachusetts.
Nice to talk to you, Bruce.
Hi, how you doing?
I need to pick your brain and use your expertise in the entrepreneur business, because I've been approached by a company that is looking to form and already has formed a partnership in the 900 number business.
Now, you've been approached, or you approached them?
No, they approached me.
Completely. You never... How'd they happen to figure you're so lucky?
Yeah, good question. But I'm involved with...
Give me a good answer. I'm serious. How'd they happen to come on you?
A friend of mine's involved in it, and he, I think, passed my name off to him.
Okay, well, that's...
And
I wondered how you got in the sucker. I know. I mean, on the list, yes.
Yeah. Well, I've never really heard good things about 900 numbers. I've always seen them advertised on TV, and these exorbitant prices for 1 minute for $3.95. And
well, that's to talk to somebody who's going to pant in your ear.
Right. Well, this is an up-and-up company. They're not going to have any type of sleaze involved. It's strictly census and
it's strictly what?
It's where they do census reports, and they do what's the word I want to use? Where they opinion polling,
surveys,
opinion polling. They do psychic, and they have dating games. And there's, for example, if I invest $10,000, I have 100 lines that could be in any areas. For example, they just did a recent with elections. They just did surveys on that, and it was a lot of money.
Well, no, wait a minute. Let's examine that for just a moment, okay? Even David Letterman had an 900 number on there one time.
That's right.
However, let's assume that we got these 100 lines in place.
Right.
How are you going to let people know they're there?
Well, this is part of the corporation. They have a tremendous advertisement background going with them. There's a tremendous amount of advertisement. They have an advertising company that's going to be working for them, that's going to be getting these lines out, and for commercials and things of that nature.
And they're just going to put your number on there gratuitously, huh?
Yeah, well, it'll be in the partnership, so it'll be involved with a lot of other people, and we get probably a cut out of it. For example, there's a zero coupon involved with it, so no matter how much money I invest, I can never really lose it if it folds. It's backed by a zero coupon. And then...
let me explain something to you. That's a great twist.
Is it?
Now, you explain to me what that means to you, and I'm going to tell you where the hook is.
Okay.
I'll tell you how you can make $20 zillion in a minute.
Okay.
Maybe 20 bazillion. Yeah.
I'm listening.
Well, now I want you to tell me how the zero coupon thing works, because all of a sudden this has sucker written all over it, right from the get-go.
What happens is that they claim that they've backed this up with a zero coupon, meaning that if for some reason this whole situation should fold or go under, or if something comes out in technology that wipes 900 numbers out, you're guaranteed your money back.
All right. Now, first of all, a permutation of that has been declared illegal.
Okay.
Here's what guys did. Now, you tell me how what they would do, when they came to town and they had picked the scheme, I don't care. This case is 900 numbers. It could have been any kind of a scheme that you want to throw on it, all right? Are you with me so far?
I am, yeah.
Okay. And they said the same thing that you're saying. We guarantee you, absolutely, positively, you cannot lose. That even if this thing all goes to hell in a handbasket, a new technology comes and we walk off with your money, you will get your entire principal back. And they were right. And you would. And it was declared illegal. How do you suppose they did that?
I don't know. They knew that it was illegal, so they figured they would...
No. You did get your money back.
Oh, all right.
In 10 years, you get your money back.
Yeah.
Did the 10 years trigger something in your mind?
No, I don't think it did.
Okay, what they did was, they would go in, let's assume that you were investing $100.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So they got your $100 in their hand. Fair enough?
Right.
First thing they went down, and they bought a $50 savings bond. $100 savings bond. The cost is $50.
Sure, I see what
they hand you the savings bond. In 10 years, you're going to get your $100 back, win, lose, or draw.
Right.
They got the $50, but what you did lose is the interest on that money for 10 years.
Yeah.
Same thing is true here.
Yeah, but they...
Same thing is true here. They buy a zero coupon. Yes, it's bought at a discount.
I understand, but I'm talking about the income part of it.
No, hold it. What they're doing is they're going to speculate or steal, depending on how things come down, or someplace in between. I'm not being accusatory. I'm saying these are the possibilities.
Yes.
You give them, what was the number, 10 grand?
It was 10 grand for you.
Oh, hold it. Just stop for a minute. They immediately go out and buy a zero coupon bond, probably for $200, for $2,000. It's going to be worth $10,000. Who the heck knows when? How many years down the range?
Right,
it's the permutation of the savings bond thing.
That's right.
And then you got the rest of that money to play with.
Yeah, I do. I hear what you're saying, but what I'm trying to tell you is that this is grossing quite a bit of money. These lines, for example, a $10,000 investment is probably looking at, and they're already doing it. It's already working. Is conservatively bringing in about $1,500 a month.
I want you to look. Do you have a dictionary or an encyclopedia or an online availability to you?
Yeah, I do.
I want you to. What do you have available?
Encyclopedias and dictionaries.
Fine. Get your encyclopedia out.
Yes.
And I'm going to take a little time out. I want you to look up the word. You only have 3 minutes and 10 seconds to do this. Can you do that?
I'm going to try.
I want you to look up the word Ponzi.
Ponzi?
Ponzi.
Ponzi. Is that P-A-W?
Oh, it's P-O-N, I believe.
P-O-N?
Right. Look it up.
Okay.
Find out who Mr. Ponzi was, and you tell me in 3 minutes and 10 seconds who he was.
Okay.
Go. We're going to have this guy. Put your phone down, but be back in 3 minutes. We're going to have him take a look and see if we can explain what Ponzi is all about and how what looks to be sometimes is not. Stick around. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. All right, is my friend in Hyannis back on the line?
Yeah, I haven't had much luck.
You couldn't find Ponzi?
No, I went in the World Book Encyclopedia, ran the Webster. I can't. Unless you mean Patsy.
No, Ponzi. P-O-N-Z-I.
Couldn't find it. P-O-N-Z-Y, no.
I.
No, I don't even have P-O-N-Z-Y. I even, no.
I believe that's correct. Maybe I'm spelling it incorrectly. Well, Mr. Ponzi was a con man in the 1920s. His name has become synonymous and should be in your dictionary.
Yeah.
Because it's called a Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
And the fact that you see activity where people are getting their money back, what he did was he took $100 from you.
Yeah.
And $100 from me, and $100 from the next guy, and then gave you $200 back. My 100 plus your 100.
Yeah.
You immediately raced out to your friend and said, "This is terrific." You gave it $200 back. He went to 4 other your friends and got their $200 and gave you back $400. A couple of them $400.
Yeah.
Well, the thing fed it, but obviously there was no money being made. Do you understand?
Well,
but you build credibility. All of a sudden the thing falls apart, and that's what you're talking about here.
In the 900 number industry?
I'm talking about anybody. Look. When somebody comes up with the idea of a zero coupon,
the zero coupon,
that has fraud written all over it.
Okay.
Now, what makes me believe the rest of their operation is legitimate?
Yeah, you got a point.
And by and large, the 900 industry is fraught with fraud.
Okay.
It is a lousy idea for most people. Okay. And why don't you ask yourself this? If they've got this hotshot advertising firm and they can generate all this income,
yes.
What the hell do they need you for?
Well, I guess to make the partnership.
Why do they need a partnership? I don't want any partners if I can do it by myself.
Well,
if there's that kind of profit, $1,500 on 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
I can go to any bank in the country and they're going to be sitting there kissing me on the nose.
Okay.
What do I need you for?
All right.
The answer is I don't need you.
Well, I called the right man.
But I want you to check on the word on the Ponzi scheme, and it's got to be.
I have heard using that particular slang.
Well,
I didn't know if you meant that.
Well, that's exactly what I meant. It was named after an individual who was convicted.
Okay.
And I believe it was in the 20s.
So as soon as you heard that zero coupon, the red light went on.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Well, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Well, I'm not a rocket scientist.
No, I don't mean that wasn't meant pejoratively, but as soon as you see them saying guaranteed money, it goes right back to the same thing that was done years ago with the savings bonds and so forth.
But I have to be frank with you. I do know that the fellow that gave me my name is making some serious money in this.
That's why the same thing is true with Mr. Ponzi.
Yeah.
A lot of that's what made the whole thing work, making the serious money.
Okay.
Bring the other suckers in. How do you know what a chain letter is, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Well, how do you think they get people in that? Because some people make money. The circle of platinum, circle of gold, flight attendant, the cockpit, there's a zillion of them around.
Okay.
But they've all got one thing in common. At the end, somebody gets screwed.
Okay.
I wish you well, kid.
Thank you.
Lansing, Michigan, your turn. Hey, Lansing, are you there? El Paso, we go to from Lansing. That's quite a jump. Hello, El Paso.
Hello, how are you?
I am well, thank you, baby. We have about 2.5 minutes to share together.
Okay, I'll go really fast. I was just going to say, I heard the other night that you came to El Paso and stayed at the Westin. Well, that's good. I'm glad you came to El Paso.
Oh, I've been there several times.
Well, great. I had never heard of it. I mean, I had never heard you coming. Okay, real quickly, I made the mistake of purchasing a life insurance policy for my son in 1990.
How old is your son?
He's 11 right now, but he won't start college for another 7 years, and the life insurance policy was for $6,000, and I'm finding out now that was a big mistake. You think that's true?
Well, I don't know. What did you buy? Some kind of an endowment policy?
Well, it was...
No. I want to know what kind of a policy. Meaning,
I don't know, Bruce.
Well, in the absence of that information, it'd be pretty hard to comment. On balance, I am not enthusiastic about insurance on children. It would appear, I think what you probably bought here was some kind of an endowment policy that at a certain age, the money will be available for whatever purpose.
Right. They said at the age of 55, it's going to be a really nice sum.
Oh, at 55. Well,
but see, I told the agent that this is intended for college education, and he says, yeah, well, this would be good. But all along, I think he misled me. And
how much are you paying a year for this?
I'm not. It's just, it was a one-time, a $6,000 amount that I deposited.
Oh, you bought an annuity of some kind.
Oh, I don't know, Bruce, but I'm gonna meet with my agent. I may take it out and maybe go with Treasury bills. I don't know
We'll take a deep breath now. You bought this thing how many years ago?
In 1990.
That's 4 years ago. And you gave a $6,000
yes, sir.
Premium.
Yes, sir.
Find out. I'll tell you what. Danny's going to give you a telephone number. You can get back to us. Find out from your agent what it's worth now. If you withdraw the cash now, how much? And also find out at age 18 what the estimated value of this will be. Okay?
Okay.
And then,
should I go with term life insurance?
listen to me. After you know that, you can call me back, and Dan is going to give you a number that you can get through on pretty easily, and we can discuss this a little more intelligently. Fair enough? So just get the information from your agent, but don't do anything until we have an opportunity to talk about it. Find out what the tax implications are, whether this is a tax-deferred annuity or just what it is. Then we can talk about it a lot more intelligently. See you soon, sweetheart. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Obtain an interest in the property. Well, let's take the example that you're using. Okay. Here we are in 1994. In 2014, you amble over there and say, for the last 30 years, I've been cutting the grass and all this kind of good stuff, and my kid's play set is on it, or my grandchildren in this case, maybe, or whatever, right? Therefore, I own the property. No, you go to court, and that's a possibility. It is not likely. But what he ought to be doing, very candidly, he puts the fence up, right? He just let her run the lawnmower down the other side of the fence. But there's no question. There is absolutely no question who's doing what.
Okay, so...
You are not required to put a fence on a property line.
Okay, that's what they were wondering, and I didn't know, and they were asking me.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so I was just wondering if I could plant flowers there, or,
with their permission.
With their permission.
Now, there's another variable here, too. The most, not all... I don't know if Fergus Falls fits in here, but most communities have fence ordinances.
Oh.
You have to get a permit to put the fence up, and you got to tell them where you're going to put it. Now, there generally is no problem with their discussing. Many times you do have to set it back so many inches from the property line to avoid a possible incursion on somebody else's property.
Okay.
And also, it gets even more fun here, baby. If they put up a wooden fence. Many communities require the good sides out.
Oh.
You've seen the privacy fences.
Yeah.
Well, there's a nice side. There's not so nice side.
Right.
Well, it's in most communities you have to put the nice side on the outside.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're not having a problem at all, but it was a question, and I thought, I'm just going to call your show.
Well, son of a gun.
And I knew you could settle it.
Well, I don't know if I've settled it, but
something.
I think I've explained it.
I think you have, yeah.
I wish you well, my dear.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. We're delighted you're here. This is Talknet.
37,000 American Enclave, and he sent me a list, man, and there's all kinds of, Taco Bell, pizza.
What does your wife say about all this? She says want to go?
She said, I've never been to a place where I'm a second-class person.
And she's worried about the feminine routine?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I don't mean to be unkind, but that's too bad. Sweet mother, I mean, this is a world. There's a world out there. I'd rather live in Paris than I would Saudi Arabia. And I have not been to Saudi Arabia, but enough friends of mine have been there. But for goodness sakes, okay, so that there's some different. You also can't carry a bottle of scotch on your hip either. But these are relatively minor inconveniences, as I see it. And inside the American influence and in the bigger hotels, it's not a problem.
I don't think so.
Boy.
But I tell you what, Bruce, I'm leaning 70-30.
70-30? I'd be leaning 100 zip.
Really?
Oh, why would you? Got to be kidding me. There are people that would kill to have the opportunity you're being presented.
Well, I plan only working working at this about another 5 years at most.
Then what?
Then I'm going to my farm and do the things I want to do.
Would you have enough money to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're living very well on $25,000, and we're putting the rest in the bank and the 401k. Yeah. So,
you're doing very, very well.
Well, it's been a long time.
You said you want a farm.
Yeah, I have a farm.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, 107 acres.
Can you make a living out of it? There was an article.
No, I'm a gentleman farmer.
Okay, there's an article today in, was it today? USA Today about the diminishing farm income. I think it was USA. I read a number of papers, but I think that's where it was. About the diminished number of farmers in this country and who's making a living at it and all that sort of good stuff.
No, I'm not a farmer. I'd like to look at it and I'll rent out the fields if they would like to do it, but the cows.
Obviously, this is a group decision. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something. I would be leaning hard. To pass up an opportunity like this, I think would be insane.
Because we're getting 33% zap right now on the taxes.
Well, you get more than that.
Well, state taxes, too.
I was about to point out the state of Louisiana is not exactly a low tax state.
Oh, no, we have a gun to our head everywhere we go.
Yeah, exactly so. Right back to Huey Long.
Well, I'm going to be down in your neighborhood next week.
Is that right? Where?
The Mountain House.
Oh, is that right?
We're jumping on a plane and flying down there and do a little vacation.
Oh, you're only a hop, skip, and a yodel away.
Yeah, and our Beechcraft Baron, you better believe it.
Oh, is that, you have a Baron of your own?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're a lucky guy.
Well, I've stayed in the Beechcraft line. We started with a Musketeer. And it's been really nice.
That's terrific. Well, if I were your wife, no, God forbid, if I were you, I would put a lot of pressure on that lady. Because I think to pass up an opportunity of this kind is something you may regret the rest of your life.
And we can do 5 years standing on our head.
Well, I mean, I don't know that the 5-year thing is another. I'm not sure I want to make plans that far in advance. But that's another program. I do wish you well, Guy.
Good luck, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. Bel Air, Florida. Hello there.
Good evening, Bruce.
Hello there.
I have a barn, a log cabin on a farm in Ohio, and some people called wanting to buy this log cabin. They will dismantle it and remove it from my property. Am I liable for any injuries that should happen during this operation?
Well, if it's happening on your property, you certainly have some responsibility. Now, whether the way to handle that is ask them to have their liability carrier give you a copy of the policy naming you as an additional insured.
Have their
insurance carrier
their insurance
provide a copy of the policy naming you as an additional insured.
Okay. I have $1 million umbrella.
What does it cover, though? What is it? More important,
it covers the farm.
What does it exclude?
Well, that I don't know. I'd have to call my insurance agent, but I took this after, on your advice, that this property should be covered.
Well, absolutely, but this may be an excluded activity. I don't know that.
I see.
It's simple enough to call your broker and ask, and then if he says it's covered, say, fine, would you drop me a note to that effect?
All right.
So you got something in writing.
Bruce, they won't tell me what they'll pay for it. They want me to give them a price, and I don't know where to go to get an estimate. These are hand-hewn logs.
That's a good question.
Where should I inquire?
Well, I'm just trying to think. You said this is in Ohio?
Yes, the farm is in Ohio.
Well, I would start with people up there. Find out what that building... Now, hear me out. Find out what that building would probably be sold for, including an acre of property. Then you subtract the value of the acre of property, and you pretty much have the value of the building. Now, obviously, it's going to cost them something to disassemble it.
Well, he tells me there are only about 20 good logs that he can use. He's going to add on to a log cabin he owns.
Mm-hmm. How old are these logs?
I have an idea. They must be 50 to 60 years old.
Well, why? I mean, they're relatively new then. Relatively.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he want those opposed to just using new stuff?
I have no idea, except he has a log cabin on his property adjoining mine.
Oh, somewhere nearby.
Yes.
I see. Okay, that would answer that question. Well, let me ask you this. You got a farm up there, right?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you whacked off an acre. How much would you want for this building?
First, I don't know. Before my husband's death, we offered it to a historical society, and I did have one response from them, but they never, and I gave them directions to the farm to go and view it. They never did contact me again.
Well, that doesn't help us very much.
No.
Why don't you contact a real estate agent in that area, or an appraiser,
all right,
and ask them what the building is worth in their opinion. Now, it's obviously not going to be worth that much money for salvage. Do you have no interest in the building, I take it?
No, sir.
You want to get rid of the farm?
I don't think so. I have oil wells on it, the mineral rights, and I have sold the timber off of it, and it's more than paid for itself, and I'll leave it to the children. It'll be up to them what they want to do with it. They're still cold there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know any way to accurately determine what it's worth. It's just sitting there deteriorating right now. Is that correct?
That's true. And he says that some of them are rotting. I have leased out some of the land for farming.
Ask him to make you an offer and see what happens. Forget the land for the time. Ask him to make you an offer.
I did ask him. He said he has an estimate, but he wants to know.
Well, in that case, then you say, fine, make me an offer or go somewhere else.
Okay. All right, I'll try that.
Just say to him, look, I'm not quite sure, but I want you to make me what you think is a fair offer, and I will let you know very quickly whether I accept.
I did contact the lumber company that took the timber off, and they were going to have someone go up and view it, but that's been a month, and they haven't returned my call.
Have you asked them? Did you tell them you'd pay for that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. It doesn't sound to me like anybody's real interested.
That's what I'm wondering, if I should just be glad to get $1,000 or $2,000.
Do you have any family up there?
Not nearby, no. They're in Akron.
Well, why don't you go up there and talk to this guy?
Well, if I thought it was worth the money.
Well, what difference does it make? You can deduct it. It'll certainly be a tax-deductible trip.
Yes.
This is a business trip.
Well, that's an idea.
You can just negotiate eyeball to eyeball. You can ask around, talk to some of these people. It's obviously you're getting no place on the telephone.
It's hard to.
Well, nobody's taking you seriously.
Pardon?
No one is taking you seriously.
That's true. It's hard to do business long distance.
Well, again, no one's taking you seriously. If you show up with a check in your hand, I got a feeling people will talk to you.
Okay.
Hey, what are you doing with your time?
Well, not a whole lot.
Well, I think you're playing and get some work done for crying. You've goofed off long enough.
I'm taking care of a little grandson when I can.
You've goofed off long enough. Get up there and do this yourself.
Thank you, Bruce.
I
Do
wish
I
you
hear
were.
the dog snoring sometime on your lap?
He just walked in as soon as you said that. Yeah, from time to time the monster jumps up in my lap.
I hear him snoring.
Actually, he doesn't snore. He has a short nose. They were bred that way.
Okay.
And he has a difficult time breathing. But that's another
what
part.
breed
It's a Boston Terrier.
Oh, yes, of course. I had a neighbor that had one. They do breathe hard.
They do indeed.
Yeah.
I do wish you well, love.
Thank you, Bruce.
Take good care. Cincinnati, Ohio. Speaking of Ohio, hello there.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, fine. How's the connection? Can you hear me?
Just like you were in my lap. Dog, get out of here. What's happening?
Well, I'd like to ask if you have some insight to a problem that I'm experiencing. I'm an American, and I married a European.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, are you still there?
Yeah, honey, I'm sitting here waiting for you to plunk down on my lap. Go. Okay, you married a foreigner. Is this an American citizen, this guy, or is he a foreign national?
He's foreign.
Foreign national. What country?
He's German.
Okay.
The problem we have is that he had acquired a sizable debt before we were married.
In this country?
We were married in another country.
I mean, where was this debt acquired?
Do you need to know the country exactly?
Well, not in the United States.
Right.
Okay. I don't know that it's important to know, or is it a big secret? Where were you acquired?
I don't know if it needs to be secret.
Okay, go ahead. Boy, you're tough. Okay, you married a guy who was in Hawk. How much?
$60,000.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can say it's a German-speaking country. Okay.
German-speaking. There are not many of those.
Right. Okay.
Switzerland, Austria.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, this is a really stressful monthly payment that we're unable to make because since we were married, we were married 3 months later, we got a baby, we got pregnant, and then we moved to the United States, and that was a large outlay of money. And with monthly payments coming out, it's been really stressful. And after about a year and a half of this, trying to figure out what I can do about it, as far as or what we can do about it, there have been numerous suggestions from friends and attorneys that we haven't consulted an attorney that has really gotten involved.
Well, what suggestions have been made to you?
Some suggestions have been made to offer a lump sum settlement.
Yeah. Do you have the money to accomplish that?
No.
Well, then that's not a suggestion.
Unless we would get a cash loan from a family member.
All right. Go ahead. What else?
B, to offer making a deal with the bank saying, well, if you would suspend the interest, I'd be interested in paying off the full loan.
This is a bank that the money's owed to.
Yeah.
What was the reason for the debt?
The reason was a business that failed.
Okay.
And let's see what else. Another one was someone else suggested, shoot, just don't pay. They can't get you here.
I'm not sure that's true.
You know, yeah, and that feels a bit awkward, needless to say. Like they're saying, well, you know, he's not from that country, and then they'd have to set up a court here.
I'm sure that can be done. You can go across international lines. Question is, how much is your income now?
Around 40,000.
Combined?
No, I'm not working yet.
How old is this guy?
42.
Well, the question is, I mean, there are international bankruptcies.
There are. His awareness is that that particular country doesn't have personal bankruptcy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that could well be. Yeah. That could well be. Now, whether that can be discharged in our courts as far as any liability in this country is something I don't know. Have you talked to an attorney?
We consulted one 6 months ago, and he never got back with us, so we'll return our call.
Well, I think you ought to consult with an attorney and find out what your rights are.
Right.
If you could negotiate when the meter stops, you might be able to retire this in over a long period of time. You certainly, if the interest is continuing to go, chances are you never dig your way out.
Right.
Now, I think I'd talk to an attorney. I don't know if this can be discharged in our courts, or whether at least your liability in terms of protecting your assets in this country, whether that can be accomplished or not, I don't know the answer to that. It's a legal question. And that's the place to get the answer to a legal question is from an attorney. But I wouldn't horse around with it. I mean, I would find out at least where you stand. I'd find out what collection mechanisms are available to them, what they would have to spend to get it done. Then you can make a decision from a position of strength. Those are the questions that I would be asking. And as I said, you need an attorney with an international background, I would think. I do wish you well, sweetheart. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Little Rock, Arkansas. Hello there.
Yes. Hello, Bruce.
Hey,
Good to talk to you.
Well, I'm glad you're here, kid.
Oh, I've enjoyed your show. Let me ask you something that happened to me last year, and see if it should happen again. What I really should demand. I was flying, and my flight was coming in to an airport where I needed to make another connection to catch the last flight out to get to my home destination. And the flight was late arriving, and my flight then had already left, and so I was stuck where the airline offered to put me up overnight and fly me out the next morning.
That's about standard.
All right. What really should I demand? What are my rights?
That's it. You get a place, a cot and a sack and a hot.
Okay, that's all that they are legally entitled to.
That's it. What more would you want?
Well, if I had to spend the night, I'm a professional man, and I have a medical practice.
Yeah.
And it means that I will miss a day out of my office, and that's very expensive.
Well, the thing is, then you should have taken an earlier flight and allowed yourself a better connection, Doc.
Well, that is true too, but that's what my question is, though. Would I be entitled to asking for more than just what they offered for overnight?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, well, that's
and look at it, you want to get even more exercise. Let's suppose that you started out this little venture. Where'd you begin the trip?
Well, it's from an overseas flight.
All right.
And so there was...
Hold on. Suppose you came in, you showed up at Orly for your airplane, right?
Right.
And it was delayed. You don't even get the hotel. You only get the hotel if it's in the middle of the flight.
Okay.
If it's the origination point, to go on home, it's on you.
Well, right, I understand that.
Well, I'm trying to get to it. Could have been worse.
Yeah.
At least you had a free night's lodging. But that happens all the time. I'm not going to tell you on the air what I missed one time by that happening. But on the other side of that, we were hurtling down the highway and the engine blew. Hurling down the runway on the takeoff roll, and the engine went boom, and there's parts all over the runway. I'll tell you the truth, I was real happy it blew then, not 10 seconds later when we were airborne. Could have spoiled our whole day.
Right.
So it does happen. It's just it's the nature of flying. You got to leave yourself some extra time. What I'm saying is if the day was that important to you, you should cut your vacation short one day and come home a day early.
Right. Well,
that's what it comes down to, Doc.
Well, afterwards, I had someone had told me, that they were supposed to give me more than that.
What do they think that you're supposed to get?
Well, I don't know. They just said, I should get more than that. But what I accepted was I was about 350 miles from home, and so what I did was I rented a car and drove on home, and they gave me $50. Is what I did. And I had someone told me, they thought that legally they were supposed to have done more than that.
I don't think so.
Well, I have not talked to anyone with any more knowledge about it than what I think you would have. And
you really wanted to get home, didn't you, to drive?
Well, yes, I really had to. All right, let me ask you one other thing.
That's a long hike. Yeah.
Similar to that is if you're on an overbooked flight, you have a reservation,
right.
and they're overbooked, and you're kind of the last one there and can't get on.
Well, wait a while. The last one there, how late?
Well, I mean before the flight.
No. You got to be there. I believe it's 10 minutes before the flight, or you lose your seat.
Well, right. Okay. Well, before that, I mean, you're there legally like you're supposed to be.
Okay, fine.
Within 30 minutes or...
Okay. You got a confirmed reservation.
I got a confirmed reservation, and where they ask for volunteers to get off,
right.
That kind of a deal. Well, if they do not have enough volunteers to get off, they cannot get me on the plane.
Well, then they pick up a brochure. Any airline can give it to you. It tells you what your rights are and an involuntary bump. As a practical matter, they almost never happen.
Well, it has never happened.
No, the reason I'll tell you why it almost never happens. Because there's lots of volunteers. As soon as they announce we got a free ticket to West Dudley,
right?
People throng to the. You got to be. Don't get in the way. Don't stand between the counter and the people. Because there's almost always. I've never taken I've never asked for it. In other words, I don't want to be bumped. I want to go where I'm going.
Well, right.
But I'll tell you one thing. Don't get between the counter and when they make the announcement.
Right.
I was sitting on an airplane when they announced it one time, and I just happened to turn around. I wanted to do something, go to the overhead or something. Damn woman almost took my head off. Because, the flight attendant or the gate agent was announcing, we need 4 seats. Man, she out of that seat was coming up that aisle like a fullback.
Well, I've seen that. It's never happened. It seems like everyone has been able to get on that needs to be on. But I was just wondering.
You are entitled then to certain, it goes by hours.
Well, I realize if they can't within a couple of hours or something like that.
That's exactly.
But if it was where I would not be able to make connection for my next flight.
Well, it's an involuntary bump. The rules are very specific, and I don't know them offhand.
Okay.
But they are very specific, and they are spelled out. They got to get you 2 hours or 4 hours or the next plane and that kind of good stuff. But in my experience, and I do a great deal of flying, I have never been in a situation where they couldn't find. No, they may have to up the ante sometimes.
Right.
A free ticket plus $100, free ticket plus $200. I've seen that happen.
Right. I've heard that.
But I've never seen a situation where they couldn't get enough volunteers.
Well,
I wish you well, kid.
Okay. Enjoy talking to you.
Thank you very much. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. Hello there, Tampa. Thank you for your patience.
Hello, how are you?
I couldn't be better, my dear. What's on your mind?
Well, first I wanted to tell you that you have the sexiest voice on talk radio.
Oh, my goodness gracious. And you're a neighbor of mine. Be careful what you say.
Oh, okay.
What's on your mind, sweetheart?
Well, first, I wanted to give you some background. My mom passed away, and right now I'm in the process of going through probate court.
All right.
And going through probate.
Who is named personal representative?
Me.
Okay.
And, we have some things that need to get fixed on the house, such as the roof, and I'd like to get central heat and air, and we are living in the house now.
Oh, slow down now. You're kind of jumping across you say we.
Oh, me and my fiance, I'm sorry.
All right, and the house is what was your mom's house?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
But currently it's still your mother's house, or it's the estate's house.
Right.
Are there any other heirs?
My stepfather, and he has signed a disclaimer.
Not a disclaimer, you mean? He has signed off?
To waive his rights.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wanted to get a home equity loan in order to get the things done to fix the house. And when I went to the first bank, they said that they wouldn't do it until the title was in my name.
That seems reasonable.
And then I went and I had a contractor come out, and they said that they could find financing.
That would surprise me.
Yeah, and so this guy, he says that he could finance me, and but I would get a higher interest rate. I am an artistic roller skating teacher, so I am self-employed.
You're a what?
An artistic roller skating instructor.
Well, who does one instruct to skate artistically, he said?
Competitive students, just like ice skating. We're set up sort of like ice skating, but on roller skates.
On conventional skates or rollerblades?
No, conventional skates.
I'll be done. Go ahead.
Anyway, so I am self-employed, so when I went to, fill out all the applications and stuff, he informed me that I would have a higher interest rate because I am a first-year business and I can't prove my income. And then he told me that because I was going to have a higher interest rate, that I could turn around in a year after I got approved and refinance.
Can I ask you something? Why are you not waiting till the estate is settled?
Well, the roof is in pretty bad shape, and in one of the corners, it really needs repaired. Mm-hmm. And it would be easier to go ahead and get the whole roof done at the same time. And I really can't afford right now to do just the corner.
Oh, I see. When is the estate going to be settled?
As far as I know, I'm waiting for that 60-day period to go where you have all the claims come in.
Oh, then this is a relatively recent demise, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm waiting for that to finish. And then my lawyer had said that it would probably be the middle of December before we get all the claims in. And
yes, I understand. It's because it's not a real lengthy process.
No.
But what I'm trying to get to is if you mentioned you got a fiance.
Yeah.
Is he at all handy, this guy?
No. He's a skating instructor also.
Oh, terrific. Well, I don't think that being a skating instructor is necessarily mutually exclusionary.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
What I'm trying to get to is you're going to pay, I would think, a fairly substantial premium.
Okay.
By acting, to get this done so quick.
Okay.
And I can't believe that you couldn't get up there and do a little temporary patchwork. I don't care, but just getting some tar and some paper and whatever over the bad spot.
Okay.
Until the building becomes yours.
So you think I'll pay more if I go ahead and finance it without the title being in my name?
I don't think there's any question about it.
Oh, really? Okay. And I had another question, if I can remember it. He had said that because I was going to get a home equity loan that I would need title insurance. Is that something that is always used, title insurance?
Well,
if it was in my name, would I?
Yeah, the lender wants to be certain that you have a clean title. And title insurance, the house is free and clear, I take it.
Yeah.
That's going to cost you probably $600-700.
I know it is.
How much money are you going to borrow?
About $20,000.
For how long? You're not. First of all, you don't want to get a home equity loan.
No.
No, you want to get a first mortgage. It's cheaper.
I still owe like $800 on one mortgage, but I was going to pay that off.
That's nothing. That's pay it off. It would be less expensive for you to get a straight first mortgage.
Okay.
Than a home equity loan. You will need title insurance for that.
For that?
Yes, ma'am. But it would still be less expensive. You get probably a 2-3 point lower interest rate.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am. What rate are they quoting you right now?
Well, he had said that it would be up in the 16, and I was like, well, I can get a credit card and do it for that.
Well, you can get a first mortgage around 9, 8.5 to 9. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So that would be a very foolish thing for you to do.
Yes, that's why I called you.
Okay, just hang on by your teeth, do a little patchwork, get them up there with the skates. I do wish you well, love.
Thank you.
Take good care. We're going down to Rochester, New York. Hello there.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing, guy?
Good. How are you tonight, Bruce?
Super.
Long-time listener and first-time nervous caller. So.
Well, not to be nervous, my friend.
Well, I'll try. I'd like to pick your brain on something. I received a new position. I'm a car and truck salesman for a dealership that has several franchises, and they put me in charge of commercial and fleet sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'd like to know, I think there's a real strong market out there that's kind of being ignored. I don't think I can wait for them to come to me. And I'd like to be able to go to the businesses.
Well, by and large, a good salesperson does go, not wait.
Well, it's amazing how few do, though. Yeah. I'm just wondering, what would you think would be the best way to approach them first?
Walk in.
Just walk in?
Sure, or send a letter saying I'm going to be stopping by. I'm the fleet manager with the XYZ dealership, and I got a proposal for you I don't think you can afford to ignore. My secretary will be calling to make an appointment, which is mutually convenient.
Okay.
Go over and pitch them.
Now, that's what I had in mind, but I know you were in sales at one time and just want to run about somebody who has experience.
I've been a peddler all my life. But, I mean, if you've got something to sell, if you can give them a deal that they might not find elsewhere, or at least demonstrate by your aggressiveness that you want their business and you're willing to bend a little bit to get it, I'd listen to you, particularly when you're talking about a big ticket item like you're discussing here. You talk about big money, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, on their part, the expenditures are very important numbers.
Of course.
Well, a man's a fool if he doesn't listen. I didn't say give you the business.
Right.
But you're foolish if you don't listen. Because maybe there's something there you didn't know about. And furthermore, on balance, if one guy comes after my business, another guy doesn't, I'm more inclined to go with the guy who came after it because he's aggressively trying to grow. Well, the other fellow is sort of a laissez-faire, I don't care. Or worse, takes my business for granted.
No, that's so true in my business, unfortunately.
True every business.
Yeah.
Every business. I do wish you well, guy.
Thank you very much.
Knock 'em dead.
Okay.
Let's take a little time off here. I'm Bruce Williams, and I'm really pleased you are here. This is Talknet. Alrighty, to Venice, Florida. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
This is Dr. Bob, and I'm from Venice, Florida.
Yes, Dr. Bob.
And my kids are ripping me off on a guardianship deal, and I just got a bill from there. They're suing the guardian now, and I got a bill from the guardian's attorney for $41,000.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, and the guardian, they sent me a bill for $24,000, so that makes $65,000.
Now, hold on, slow down. Tell me a little bit about that. What is happening here? Your children are saying that you're not capable of handling your own affairs?
Well, that's right. I took my wife to the beauty shop, and I stopped and got her a pickle, because she made them the summer before, and when I came back from the beauty shop to get her another pickle, the kids were in my house, and they read my trust, which was on the desk in the bedroom. And right after that, when I went up north to help another doctor, he applied for emergency temporary guardianship.
Who's he, your son?
That's my son.
How old is your son?
He's about 44.
And he doesn't, what did you do something in the papers they found to upset them?
I made out a trust, and it wasn't to their advantage.
Whose advantage was the trust?
Well, they weren't left out.
But, I mean, who did you make the primary beneficiary of the trust?
My son. I have two sons and a daughter.
And the other son is the one who's raised in hell here?
The one that's right. That's right. He is raised in hell, and my daughter is suing the guardian, and he and the daughter are the plaintiffs. They're suing the guardian.
He, meaning your son?
My son, right.
I'll just slow down now. Let's call it A and B. Son A found these documents, and he didn't feel they were to his advantage. He then applied to the court to have you be named, or you to be declared incompetent. Is that correct?
No, he didn't declare me incompetent, but the lawyer that I had said as long as I had a conflict with the children, that I could not be a guardian.
You could not be a guardian. Guardian of your wife, you mean?
Guardian of my wife.
Oh, yeah. I thought they were trying to make a guardian for you.
No, my wife.
I see. So
she was already in a nursing home when they applied.
Well, why is there some problem with you as a competent husband being your wife's guardian?
As long as there was a conflict of interest with my kids, the lawyer told me that the judge, should I mention his name?
No.
The judge would not make me guardian. I visit my wife 4 hours every day.
Mm-hmm. What kind of assets are we talking about here?
What kind of assets?
Yeah.
Oh, about $1 million.
Between you and your wife?
Yeah, it's all in joint. But then as soon as I found that out, I went to the bank and I had that all put in my name.
Mm-hmm. And your son is squawking about that too, I take it.
Well, they did, but we had a trial here for about 4 weeks ago, and the judge ruled that was okay.
Yeah, I don't see why not, as long as you were both alive.
That's right.
And if he was in joint tenancy.
That's right.
All belongs to you, all belongs to her. You take it out, that's your business.
That's right.
So why are we hassling about this now? Your wife doesn't have very much. Well, how about real property? Some of that's in her name.
I got a clinic in Michigan and a farm in Michigan, and I got a lot and a house here in Venice.
And your kids are fighting over this, is that it?
Well, they're fighting. Yeah, that's what the main purpose is. They want to take control of my assets.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Bob. It sounds to me like your kids are pretty greedy.
Greedy is right. And now they want to, after the judge ruled in favor of the guardianship, they were suing the guardian because they thought they weren't taking good care of my wife, which they are, and I'm on the guardian's team, but still I have to pay the guardian's attorney $42,000.
East Lansing, Michigan. Hello there.
Hello. Bruce, my name's Jackie, and I've been listening to you for years through the opening of and closing of 7 businesses.
My, 7?
Uh-huh.
You make any money?
Sometimes. You've heard the word cash flow. Sometimes it went faster than others. You and I have taken a lot of long drives together as I've been traveling around from business to business.
Well, I hope we haven't stopped on any bridges when you had some bad things happening.
Gosh, I hope not, no.
What's happening, kid?
Well, my basic question is, we're at the point in our lives right now where we're getting serious about retirement and investments, et cetera, particularly thinking about retirement, even though we're a fair amount away from there.
How old are you guys?
Well, we're different ages. I am 52. My husband is 8 years younger.
Oh, you messed around with younger men.
It
Huh?
was fun, too. It worked.
All right, go ahead.
And for about 5 years, I've been really trying to become familiar with and let's say, I guess, get to the point where I could really understand investments and feel that I would be able to do a good job by handling them myself. And even though I'm a blonde, I'm not a dummy. I've been in business
I didn't realize that brains and blonde were exclusionary.
They are not.
Okay.
I've been in. I run my own business. I've been in business for 18 years. In this one business myself. So, but when it comes to the financial field, I've after about 5 years, I feel like I've just tapped into the basic terminology, and I kind of I can understand the basics of what's going on when I listen to it or read about it. But I still don't feel like I know enough to handle this situation myself. I feel real strongly, but I may be wrong, and that's why I wanted to ask you: is should we be getting a financial advisor?
Well, the other ingredient here, Jackie, is how much money do you have to play with?
Well, that's changing real fast right now. We just became debt-free, which is really nice. And so we're going
to... The question stands, how much... Right now, if you are doing some investing, is that correct?
Yes, into a retirement fund.
Well, what kind of a retirement fund?
Oh, it's through a university, through the university my husband works for.
All right, fine. Then we can't monkey with that. That doesn't even count at this point.
Doesn't it?
But it doesn't count for the sake of the discussion you and I are having.
Okay. Well, even there, they ask you, do you want to invest in a particular fund?
Yeah, but that's stuff you should be able to figure out yourself.
You think so?
Yes, ma'am. I'm talking about because you first of all you are within a pretty small range.
That's true. It's not a lot.
To that kind of research you should be able to do. Okay. But the totally discretionary money that you have on your own, how much?
Well,
how about, Jack? No, I don't want to load to the last rasp.
I would say in a couple of years we'd probably...
No, now,
okay,
right now.
Right now.
11/11/94.
Well, we're saving towards a car right now.
Jackie, you're fudging. I want to know how much money you got to invest right now.
None.
In that case, there's no reason to go to a financial advisor.
No, but in 2 years, I would say we're going to be in that position.
Well, 2 years from now we can talk. Because things... I'm serious. Really? Things are going to change a lot in 2 years. In the meantime, by all means, I would encourage you to get yourself a fundamental education, a basic education.
I feel like I have that.
Well, and just continue to expand on that.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Unless you have enough money, Jack, it does not pay to mess around with a financial advisor.
I would say at some point we're going to have probably $15,000 to $20,000 a year
to invest. At that point, then we can talk.
Okay.
But not now. But in the meantime, you say you get yourself a basic education. Continue it. Yeah. I mean, are you reading the periodicals and so forth?
Yeah. I've been doing that for years upon your advice, but I just don't feel like...
That's where it is.
At one time, for our businesses, we tried to do our own accounting, and I felt that was such a mistake in a way.
Clearly, that's a mistake.
Because they're experts, and that's kind of the way I feel about a financial advisor, but I know you can run into trouble with the conflict of interest.
Well, we get into what is a financial advisor.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't even...
And the problem is, unless you have enough resources, the good guys are not... They will tell you, you just don't have enough for us to mess with. And the guys who don't tell you that are the ones you have to be very careful about.
Okay.
I do wish you well, Jackie. Hang in there. Oh, messing around with those younger guys. That's what did it to you. All righty. From Lansing, we go to Floridia, Tampa, Florida. Hello there.
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Williams.
Good evening, my friend.
My question is, how can one retrieve money from an escrow account if the second party has skipped town?
With great difficulty.
I was afraid of that.
What is well, how'd this happen? Let's talk about it.
There was an unofficial partnership.
What's an unofficial?
Well, there was no legal ties to each other as in business.
Let's get start again. Let's begin at the very beginning. You and somebody, what is it, girlfriend, boyfriend, what?
No, just longtime friend.
All right, you guys were in a what kind of a business?
Building steel frame homes.
Building what?
Steel framed homes.
What does that mean?
Using commercial steel
Oh, steel frame.
Steel frame homes, correct.
Okay.
Instead of wood.
I understand. Now, you guys were actively, both of you, participating in this enterprise?
Yes.
And then suddenly one guy disappeared?
Right. Yeah, I had the contractor's license, and this other person found the labor and all the subs, and he used a lot of his friends, and he was trying to get everything underneath the table without, signing all the W-2s or whatnot, and I wouldn't go for that. The all in all is he took the draws from the bank, left town. I ended up paying all the laborers and subs out of my own pocket, just to be honorable. They did the work, I owe them that. I got the other person to put the money that he took into escrow.
Now, with whom was the money escrow?
His attorney.
And what were the terms of the escrow?
They're just that we would, argue out until we hadn't gotten to that.
Well, there must have been terms. There had to be a reason for the escrow.
Well, he put up the money for the distributorship from the company we were getting the steel frame homes from, and he felt that being that he put up the money, that he owned the distributorship when the distributorship was placed in my name. Okay, so I own the distributorship on paper because it says so-and-so, me, owns the distributorship.
Well, no, not on paper. You own it. That doesn't matter. You own it.
Correct. Well, he was arguing that point, and he wanted to keep the $20,000 in escrow for reimbursement of that distributorship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understood. Of the fee that made the distributorship happen.
Right, and all his troubles and such.
All right, so now he disappeared now?
And he disappears, and the money's still in escrow.
How long ago?
About 2 years now.
And what does the attorney say?
The attorney can't even find the guy. He left the attorney with bills also.
What does he say about this money?
He can't really touch it. There's no provisions made, unless the other person.
Well, that's not altogether true. The attorney, you have no idea where this guy is.
No. I've done searchings for warrants. I've gone to all of his addresses. There's no trace of the guy. Everything he's owned been foreclosed on, or.
Why did he just ran away from his bills? Is that
right? Exactly.
Well, there are ways to crack an escrow account through the court system, but it may be more expensive than it's worth. Is the money in the meantime in an escrow-bearing?
No.
Is it an interest-bearing account?
No.
It's in the attorney's escrow account.
Correct.
Well,
so the attorney gets all interest.
No, not in an escrow. An escrow account is generally a non-interest-bearing account.
Right, okay.
That's why the first thing I'd want to do is find out what the court system would allow to move that money to some kind of an interest-bearing environment.
All right.
And then the next thing is to what it would take, what procedures are necessary to get this money unlocked. I mean, clearly the attorney can could be shown to know where the money, the genesis of the money, and why it was taken, and so on and so forth. And it may be you'll have to still find another lawyer. Isn't that great? Good luck, guy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Columbus, Ohio. It's your turn in my world. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. I've been listening to you now for about 10 years. I've done some time in prison, did 14 years to be exact, and I listened to you a lot in prison.
Did you really? What were you incarcerated for?
Aggravated robbery and kidnapping. I went in when I was 17 years old. I'm 31 now, and I just got out about 3 months ago.
How are things going for you?
Pretty good. I got me a minivan to work with. I got some hand tools, and I got clothes. I got a fiance, and I'm going to get married here in a while, and my life's been falling right in place.
Very well.
Got a couple questions for you. One, I signed a lease 3 months ago, and they want $900 to break this lease, and I think that's a little high.
Well, how much a month is the rent?
The rent is $450 a month.
Well, they want 2 months then.
Right.
For what reason do you want to break the lease?
Well, I have another opportunity to go to my fiance's mother's house, and I'm going to pay her rent, and it's a good place to sleep, and it's got a shop to work out of, and a lot more of the utilities are paid, and it's monetary.
How long was the lease for?
1 year.
That's not an unreasonable amount. They could hold you to the entire lease.
They could?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, they also have an obligation to try and rent it.
Right. They turn them around real fast.
Do they really?
Yes.
Do you have a sublet clause in your lease?
Yeah, it says that I cannot sublet.
You cannot, specifically says you can't sublet.
It says sublease or assignment. Residents shall not assign or sublet the leased premises or any part thereof without the written consent of management.
Does it say which shall not be reasonably withheld? Doesn't say that. Well, have you asked them if you could sublet it?
Yeah, but they're really nasty. They've changed management, and a new woman now that is managing the place. She's just, to be honest, she's just, you know what? She wouldn't even take my check today. They've been taking my checks.
Why would they not take your check?
She didn't give no explanation. She said it had to be a cashier's check or...
Does your lease require that?
No, it says nothing about that. So I went and got cash.
Well, wait, no, you want to get cash. Have you been late with your payments?
Yes, I was late 5 days. And I paid them their extra fee and had all that in there too. And they still wouldn't take my check. I've never wrote a bad check.
Is there anything in the lease that deals with that?
No, I've got it here in front of me, and I've read it, and it says nothing about the checks. It just says that I'll make payment to the management, the name of the place, and then the management.
I don't see why they can refuse your check.
Well, they did.
Well, why would you give them cash?
Because they wouldn't take my check, and I went down and cashed the check real quick, brought them cash back, was going to pay them in cash.
And what happened then?
Then she said I needed a certified money order.
They didn't want to take the cash either, huh?
No.
I think they're just giving you a bad time.
Yeah, I'm positive they're giving me a bad time. So I went down and I still got them a money order before their 6 o'clock deadline. And I'm done with that. I'd really just like to leave the place and go on to the other place where it's cheaper.
Well, I appreciate that, but you will be responsible for their terms.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're responsible. When does the lease run out?
9 months from now.
No. They could hold you to the lease. But they do have a responsibility, which is kind of interesting. They have a responsibility to try to mitigate their loss. And that means to try to rent it. And they can only charge you for the time it was empty. But if they have a lot of other empty apartments, they're going to rent them first and yours last.
Well, they don't have any other than this one. They said that they'd mess with my credit and garnish my wages.
They really said that. They're real nice people, huh?
They said they'd completely ruin my credit.
Well, but they actually say that to you?
Yes.
Well, that's illegal as well.
Is it?
Yes, sir. That's a threat.
Yeah, I considered it as one.
But the thing is that they got you in I think I'd be tempted to pay the $900, get a release from them, and get on with your life.
Yeah, you're right on that. Got one other question before we go.
Sure.
I've heard you talk. Well, I was listening before, and a lot of people complain about how they can't make money. Well, if I can come out of this prison and I can re-enter society, I've got a minivan financed, I've got tools, and I've got clothes and everything. I'm willing to go out there and make some money if you'll give me some advice.
If I'll give you advice?
Yeah, give me some advice.
Well, what advice would you like me to give you?
Well, where do I start from here?
Well, for example, you said you have a van, you have tools. Are you good with tools?
Yes.
You a good handyman?
Yes.
Almost anywhere in the world, a good handyman can make money. You start running a small classified ad in your local newspaper.
Okay.
Things that any job, no job too small, and I mean no job. Fix your back steps, that kind of thing. Those are very hard jobs to get anybody done. And furthermore, you say you guarantee you'll do it in so many hours, 48 hours. If that means working all night, so be it.
I'm a hard worker.
Well, those kind of jobs are almost impossible to get done in most places. There's always somebody. Well, maybe there is, but I never could find that somebody. The kind of guy that an air conditioner has to be shored up, you'll be there. Window frame is busted, the frame. You can take care of it. But the general handyman stuff.
I thought about a pet food delivery service.
You asked me what I would do. There's a million businesses you get into. But I'm telling you, a guy that's handy and has a van and has tools can make a lot of money, a good living, if you're willing to work crazy hours.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. And you get a reputation. What's your first name?
Gerald.
No matter what the problem is, call Gerald.
Okay.
Pretty soon, your phone will be going most of the time. I wish you well, Gerald. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for Talknet. Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Well, you're very welcome.
My concern is in regards to an accident which my 16-year-old son was involved in. Fortunately, no one was injured. But he was hit at an uncontrolled intersection. And as a result, my 1986 Jeep four-wheel drive has been declared a total loss by my insurance company.
You had the car with collision on it?
Full coverage.
Boy, 86, that's pretty... that's interesting. Usually I would have dropped this sometime before.
And I was considering doing that, but this has been our baby, so to speak. It didn't have a ding on it. As a matter of fact, I replaced the motor, had the motor replaced 2 months before the accident, had the carburetor completely redone, and what was it, 2 years ago, I believe I had a rebuilt transmission put into it.
Well, you must have put a lot of miles in this thing.
Well, it had the speedometer reading, or the odometer reading was about 138, 140,000 when it was hit. Wonderful vehicle.
Right.
No problem at all. My question is, the insurance company says that they're willing to give us high book on it, since it is totaled, and, I've got no reason to question this, but I'm just wondering, is there anything I can do to show the insurance company that, golly, is it maybe worth more than the high book value since I've had all these things done to it?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I doubt it.
All right. I'm not trying to take advantage of...
Well, no, I understand that. The fact that, you see, this is why I keep saying, how much are they willing to give you? What is the book
value?
High
book is $5,300 on it.
Not much.
Yeah. But to replace it, it's 5 times that much.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No. You're telling me it's going to cost you to do $25,000 to replace it?
Yes, sir.
That's with a new one.
Yes.
Well, but you don't have a new one.
Oh, I see. No, okay.
You didn't start out with a new one.
Okay. No, to replace it with a new vehicle.
Well, that's
the same
another.
options.
Well, yeah. But you had a 10-year-old or a 9-year-old car there.
Right.
So you can't. Those are comparing apples with the tangerines for crying out loud.
All right.
I'm surprised that they're giving you that much.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about a high mileage old vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you put all these bells and whistles in really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. If you were going to try to sell it, that wouldn't make much difference.
Okay.
In the open, and if it's worth as much as that, then I would probably keep the collision in place. I think when a car drops below 3,000, the collision becomes a bad buy, I guess what you'd say.
Here's my next concern.
Oh, hold on, just 1 second now.
Oh, okay.
How about the salvage? Is the car drivable now?
Yes.
Well, then why don't you consider telling them you want to keep the salvage?
Okay. That was my next question. They're willing to sell it back to me for $1,600.
All right.
Now, would it be prudent of me to give that some serious consideration?
Well, it depends upon what's it going to take to make the thing roadworthy in your eyes.
I don't know.
What kind of damage was done to it?
The entire right side. As I said, it's a four-wheel drive.
No, I understand all that, but what was done to it?
Doors won't open.
Yeah.
The unibody is bent, whatever that means.
It means the frame is bent.
Okay. The hood doesn't open properly. They couldn't.
Well, the whole thing is squished. It's compacted.
Exactly. The inside dashboard is all rippled.
I'd get rid of it. I wouldn't even be interested.
Okay. In all earnest, the adjuster did say, keep in mind that with a four-wheel drive and this type of impact, there might be unseen damage to four-wheel drive.
I would not be interested.
Okay.
I think that's a parts car.
So am I understanding you correctly in that you would feel that high book value is...
I think they're being generous.
They're being fair. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your opinion.
It has been a pleasure. I do wish you well, kid. I do indeed. Oh, dear. I think we have one break left. We have time then for another call to Chicago, Illinois. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I get a quick question. I have a friend who, she has a boyfriend that is threatening to. Well, she's had a job for some time. She works for herself, and she makes about $520 a week. And he's threatening to, like, call the IRS on her
Well, wait.
There's a number of things.
Take a deep breath. Hold on. You have a friend. You said it must be a girlfriend or something?
It's not a girlfriend. It's just a friend. It's a female, though.
All right. And she has a former boyfriend.
Right.
Who's threatening to blow the whistle on her.
Big time.
Well, wait a minute. Did she or was she or is she operating outside the law?
No. Well, she does.
Well, wait. Why would anybody have any reason to turn you in if they're not doing something wrong?
He's using this against her.
But you look. What is your first name?
Hers?
Yours.
I'd rather not give mine.
Oh, difference it makes.
John.
All right, Don. Pseudonym, I don't care. Don, I'm going to accuse you of making book. You're a bookmaker.
Okay.
Are you making book?
Yeah.
Are you really?
No.
So what difference does it make if I accuse you of it? I turn you in as a bookmaker. You could easily prove you're not a bookmaker.
Right, but there are check receipts from people that's paid her. You know, she has a legit business. She cleans houses.
Yeah.
And
is she paying taxes?
No.
Well, then she's not legitimate. She's a crook.
Okay.
And he's saying, okay, I'm going to turn you in for being a crook.
Then she's a crook.
Yeah.
But she wants to get legit.
Now she wants to get. Now she's getting religion because somebody's going to turn her in.
Well, yeah, I guess. Right.
No, I mean, let's not try to sugarcoat this, kid.
What's her best path then?
See an accountant or a CPA or an enrolled agent and have them file amended returns. And I don't know where that term came from, but that's what they call them.
Okay, amended return.
Mm-hmm. But then what's happened is she continued to cheat, but now she got a boyfriend ready to blow the whistle on her. That's what's happening here.
Right. Also, she's moved out of the apartment a long time ago, but he won't cancel the lease, and it's half-half, and he's using that against her also.
Well, how can he use it against her? She's on the lease. She owes the money if the
right.
rent.
She's paying her half, but she wants to get out of it, and she can't.
Well, she can't.
Okay.
She signed the contract.
Right.
What else?
That's it then.
How long has the lease got to go?
It was for a year.
Well, but how long does it have to run?
Oh, I honestly don't know. 4 or 5 months probably.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, this is the problem when more than one. But if you're screwing the government or anybody else, it's one thing. I'm not saying you should, but as soon as two people know, you got a problem.
Right.
Where you may be two people sleeping together one night, next day you're mortal enemies. And your mortal enemy has information to use against you. That's a bad situation.
Yep.
And that's what's happening here. She doesn't want to get honest. It's just that she's afraid. Right?
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Appreciate the advice.
Okay, Don. I wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Well, how you doing, Clearwater? Welcome to my world.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking the time to take my call this evening.
You're very welcome.
Quickly, I've been listening to you for about 6 years, and about 5 years ago, based on your inspiration, I decided to break away from corporate America and to start my own business. And it took about 3 years for me to write the software that I wanted to develop. And for 2 years now, we've been marketing it. I contracted with a marketing company who handles all the marketing and sales. And,
what is the target for this software?
Well, the target for the licensing are CPA firms who use it to perform sophisticated revenue optimization for physicians for their clients.
Boy, that gets narrow, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. As a matter of fact, narrow enough to where we have basically no competition for the software that we have.
Mm-hmm. Just for physicians who do investing, is that it?
No, it gets pretty complicated. They use it to, the system is made up of an inferential mathematical engine that backs out certain models from insurance carriers to help them optimize their revenues, and it also does high-level coding and utilization review and costing. It does a lot of different
that the average bear, including me, hasn't a clue what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is, I guess, no disgrace on my side.
Well, the deal is that we I contracted with a marketing firm, and he's done a very good job.
Okay.
And in 2 years, we've done very well, and we've made a lot of money, and we've garnered, basically, we control the market. We've gained some national recognition. We are doing very good.
Good.
I don't have a problem. That's not why I'm calling.
All right.
I'd like to position it for sale.
Why?
I have some other interests I'd like to pursue.
Well, you're going to have to. You don't have to be candid with me.
Okay.
But if you're trying to sell a business that's only 2 years old, you better have a very good reason to try to want to sell it. Or otherwise, as a potential buyer, I would be extremely suspicious, and I think you can understand why.
Well, the political environment favors what we do, particularly now since the election's Tuesday.
But that doesn't say why you want to sell it. That would lean more toward why you want to keep it.
I want to pursue other areas. It becomes prohibitive having this business to do so. From a time perspective, I mean, we have a lot of free time. My marketing guy handles all the sales and the marketing. All I do is research, development, technical support. I don't have any employees. We're able to manage it very well. It seems like the ideal situation, and I can understand where someone might have some suspicions.
Well, what's it netting right now, this business?
Well, it depends. See, what's it netting for the marketing company, or what's it netting for me?
You.
We gross about 120 last year, and our profit margin's around 67%.
For you?
Yes.
So you made about 75 grand?
Yeah, at least. And we're going to double that this year and probably double it next year.
Well, my question stands. You see, the average person or average potential purchaser say, if that's the case, why would this guy get rid of it now? Now's the time to hang out for a year or two.
Because it's not about the money. Because there's some other things I'd like to do that are a little more personally rewarding than this.
Yeah, but you see, that sounds real good. And you're probably genuine, but I wouldn't believe you for a minute.
Really?
If I were a potential buyer, this guy's burying something.
Okay.
And you may not be, but I wouldn't believe you. Okay. You're telling me, boy, I've been 2 years, such a short period of time. And you're saying it's going to increase and double, but you want to get out because you want to go out and windsurf.
Well, I mean,
boy, you'd have to be one hell of a peddler to sell me on that idea. I'd be looking under every stone, every rock.
Well, that's okay. I mean, it's all available and open, and what they'd find is that it's the best opportunity around. No doubt. I mean, everything's open and available to look at.
I have only a little couple seconds here. Why would you not want to just get a management team and step back and let them run it?
See, my skills are arcane in what's required to manage something like this. And I know that if I sold it, I'd have to stay on board for a year or two for transitional purposes.
Right.
But, I mean, I'd like to pursue some interests that have nothing to do with this field. I wanted to do something for a long time, and I was hoping this would be a stepping stone. And it appears to be.
How old are you?
39.
Well, unless there's some reason why that has to be done immediately, I'd give some serious thought to hanging in for another couple of years, because if it increases the way you've described, then we've got something that would bring some important dough. Because otherwise, I suspect that any potential buyer is going to be very skeptical. Good luck, guy. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet.
Right.
So you increase your chances geometrically by doing what they tell you to do, where they tell you to do it. On the other side of that, you have little freedom. You are obliged to do what they tell you to do. But there's a reason for that, too. The uniformity is what it's all about. If you walk into a Burger King for, what do? That's that Whopper, right?
Right.
A Whopper is a Whopper, whether it's Maine or Fort Dodge or San Francisco.
Exactly.
And that's what you're paying for, that consistency.